Everybody, and welcome to another night of Collegiate League of Legends. As always, my name is Shadi Zedi Hanna, and alongside me tonight, again on the caster's desk, Mr. Curtis Yerif-Denev. Curtis, how are we doing tonight?
I'm doing good, Zeddy. I just got done with my last lab of college. It's exciting. All the semester.
No, that's awesome. Getting done with homework feels so good, and it gives us so much more time to do what we love to do, which is host and cast Collegiate League of Legends here on the Saints Gaming channel for you tonight. We have a great matchup tonight. It's going to be our St. Clair Saints versus Western University. Now, Western is a great team. Historically, they've done really well in CLOL and other collegiate leagues, and their roster is looking pretty stacked this season. So I'm excited to see how the games are going to play out. Is there any champion you're looking to seeing either of these teams pick up tonight in our big match?
I've heard a lot that since I'm the resident top laner, I'm pretty much just focused on that one lane, and I know that Shen right now is extremely strong. The amount of pressure that he can apply to the map and keeping everyone alive and safe with that insane taunt to stop some of these really strong ADCs like Samira right now, Jin, I think he's going to be a pretty priority pick.
It's a great pick, and we've seen Frez up in the top lane pick it up as well a number of times for the Saints. You know, that ability to globally roam down from the top lane and preserve your teleport advantage in that lane is just so impactful to the state of the game. But before we get too far into the draft analysis, let's say hello to our St. Clair Saints lineup for today. As always, if you are not familiar yet with the Saints Gaming rosters, we have Andre, Frez, Seguin up in the top lane. In the jungle is Justin AM Trick McGregor. In the mid lane, Owen Ewell Baines. On support, Zachary Miansfu Dillon. And lastly, in AD carry position is Loy Lazi Rollin, coached by Yuri Blazing Custodio. I have been so impressed with this roster so far this season, with that big win in the Jury Invitational and a number of really well-played games in the collegiate leagues this year. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they pull up tonight against Western.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm very excited myself. It's going to be a really good games. Since the other team is so very stacked with the challengers, grandmasters, masters, it's going to be a really good game.
Absolutely, and you know, we talk about this all the time on the caster's desk. The rank, at first glance, the ranks are intimidating, but at the end of the day, it's about how you play as a team. And we've seen some excellent rotations from the Saints Gaming squad over the course of the year. Some really clever rotations from Yansfu from the support role into the mid lane, enabling Buell to take his priority in lane and go and impact the rest of the map. Big kind of rotation plays like that are what makes competitive League of Legends so exciting to watch. You know, aside from your traditional just solo kill your laner a gazillion times like we see in solo queue all the time, there's a competitive side of things. There's a different angle that you see, and it's how the champions can interact with each other at all stages of the game, and it's always really fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be nice seeing all the timers and the rotations that they decide to set up. Maybe there might be some new strategies that some of these teams will have that we might need to just look at, analyze, and pick up.
Undoubtedly, and especially in the preseason now where everything is changing and evolving, there's always new strategies that are coming to light. As we've seen recently, a number of picks that had kind of fallen out of the meta for a while, but Kale has made a resurgence back into the meta with Riftmaker and Nashor's Tooth being the two items of choice. Kale on rework was like the most popular champion for like 3 months, and then she just died, disappeared in the metagame entirely. And this has been the first time we've seen her back in a while. She's now being used as a flex pick both in the mid lane and in the top lane. So really interesting champion choice as well. It definitely makes your blind picks in the drafting phase a lot more interesting if you pick up that Kale very early on. It's not necessarily a tell of where it's going, but it is a champion that can be very easily countered in lane. So definitely a high risk, high reward pickup that we may or may not see tonight. Aside from Kale up in that top lane, you mentioned Shen. What are some of the big threats that you've been seeing up on ladder that you might consider one of these teams picking up tonight?
I know that Malphite's really strong right now. He's at about a 55% win rate in top lane. Even into just AP carries, he can just beat them in lane. I personally played some Malphite games into Kale, and it may seem like it's not that big of a matchup. It's not that important, but Malphite seems to be able to beat that pretty easily. And that's not even an AD threat.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, it's interesting that you mentioned that matchup because when looking at like stats and data collection services like OPGG, like Mobalytics, they all seem to think that that's a Kale favored lane. But then you play it and you're like, this feels awful for Kale. It's really, really bad, just taking every single rock to the face. But before we get too far deep into the champions that we'd like to see, let's take a look at what champions our team has been playing over the course of the season. Let's take a quick look at the comfort picks for the Saints gaming squad. So up in the top lane for Andre, we have the Ornn, the Camille, the Kiana, and the Mordekaiser. Now, we haven't seen any Kiana top this season. Not a very good pickup, but definitely would be something fun to see. Have you ever tried Kiana top, Curtis, up in your top lane games?
No, never. I'm not very fluent in Kiana.
She's definitely a tricky pick, for sure, and definitely not something we're going to see very often, but it would be something fun to see later on in the season, perhaps. As much as we'd love to take a look at our comfort picks, we're going to have to be jumping into the drafting phase momentarily here, and we can actually see what our teammates are picking today in today's game against Western University. Looking at the bans already, we have Orianna, Kha'Zix, and Jhin being taken away on the side of St. Clair, and Samira and Akali are Western University's bans. Now, these are some interesting bans, especially from St. Clair, choosing to take away the Jhin from blue side. Jhin is a #1 priority pick in a lot of games, but it looks like they've opted this time to take it away from Western. Curtis, any idea as to what might be motivating that decision?
I feel like the motivation behind that decision is just they might not want to play into a Jhin, especially if they're just not prepared to play it with the comp that they are going for. They might have an idea in mind of what they want to do, and it seems like with Braves, they want to have a really strong early game invade, possibly. So looking at that into the Kayn Leona right now, it's looking very good to just... You would rather have a team comp that works better around your team than just picking Jhin because he's meta.
I completely agree with that, and I like the reasoning behind that there. I do also know, I have a little bit of inside information. I had the chance to take a look at Western's kind of play styles over the course of the season, and Western University is pretty big on the Graves pickup. So choosing to take it away on the side of St. Clair might have been a little bit of extra motivation to pick it for themselves. We do know Trick is a pretty avid Graves player himself, so it is a pick that makes a lot of sense for him in that first pick, and immediately followed by the Vayne Braum going down in the bot lane for Lazi and Miansfu. Vayne Braum is a really interesting lane. Curtis, what can you tell me about this lane duo?
I personally have not seen this lane very much, but Vayne should be pretty able to get these Braum passives off pretty quickly with being able to auto and then Q to cancel to get 2 autos off really quick. So I think a Braum auto Q, and then you can just stun someone in place, maybe line them up against the wall. It to be very threatening, especially since Vayne isn't as much of a late game carry as she used to be with how the items work out in this preseason.
And it's a good thing that you mentioned the auto resets. Typically with Braum, we see champions like Lucian or Ezreal that have a really easy, surefire way of double stacking on that stun. Obviously, Lucian with the double shot passive, and Ezreal with the ability to auto attack and Q to set up that stun with the Mystic Shot. For Vayne's Tumble, it's a very similar interaction. It's not a true auto attack reset, but it does kind of accelerate the speed of your next auto attack, which can lend you some pretty quick stuns there in that bottom lane. And I love seeing Braum comboed with ranged junglers as well. I just think it allows you to set up for your CC from such a safe distance. So this Braum Graves Vayne bot lane is looking pretty strong right now. But Western with the Victor pickup, that's a pretty intimidating mid lane right now, especially in preseason 11.
Yeah, Victor's really strong right now in the mid lane. I think he's about 52% win rate on that mid lane in tier 1. So Victor is actually a really big threat with how his passive got changed, and it's just stats up. Instead of having to put money into increasing his abilities, he can just get the kills or assists or minion kills to increase his passive and alter his abilities.
Yeah, it's so nice. I love playing Victor. I play him quite a bit on my own time in solo queue as well. And just being able to save your money and spend it on items that actually feel good for your kit just feels so much better than having to blow like 3,000 gold on an item just to make your abilities relevant. And the really nice thing about the new change with Victor is that if you pick up early kills off of an early invade, you can get your E evolved, your laser evolved super quickly. Let's say you go for a deep invade and you get 2 or 3 kills. That's 75 points towards your 100 total for that first evolution, which is just incredible for your laning priority. having that laser already. But the nice response, putting Yule on the Fizz into the Victor. Oh, this matchup sucks. As a Victor player, this is a really, really frustrating lane. God, that slimy little fish. I hate seeing Fizz in my game.
Yeah, it's really hard to lock down Fizz with the Victor W being able to. You need them to stay in that thing for about, what is it, Seti? Is it 1 second?
1 second, 1.5 seconds. Yeah, just about for the gravitation field to pop. But Fizz, with the ability to cast Playful Trickster and Urchin Strike, dodging out of those stuns, it's going to be very tricky to lock that fishy boy down.
Yeah, we're seeing the Malphite pick by St. Clair, and it's going into a Sylas, which actually seems like the AP matchup that I was just talking about. It might be a little bit more difficult for Malphite, considering Sylas is a very good bruiser that can just get on him and stay on him. So this lane could be a little fishy.
Sylas pick is really interesting to me. Like, looking at this draft in general, Sylas is typically used as a response to champions that have really impactful ultimates like Shen, so you can kind of eliminate that roaming threat from the Shen. And the Malphite ulti is definitely a game-changing ultimate, and it's definitely not an ultimate that should be ignored. That being said, Sylas, aside from the unstoppable force, there aren't a whole lot of other great takes for the Sylas in this game. It's going to be like Fizz is not a great steal, Graves is not a great steal, so it's going to be an interesting pick for sure up in this top lane. Definitely picked, as you mentioned, for that lane priority, for the ability to stomp lanes. But looking at these drafts in total, my favorite champion of all of these 10 champions currently on the screen here, it has to be Aphelios. I love seeing this champion in games. He is so cool to watch. I am really excited. Do you have a favorite, Curtis, looking at these 10 champions here going into game number 1? What are you most excited to see?
I'm most excited to see the Fizz, because I don't see it very often in competitive. It's a very assassiny, very slimy character that's just, you gotta get in, you gotta kill that person, you gotta be a big distraction.
I want to get that on record that Curtis just said he's happy to see Fizz. I think that needs to be written down and cataloged for all of eternity. Oh my gosh, that champion is just so frustrating. But you're right, it is a champion that you don't often see in collegiate or competitive play. The last time and obviously this is not an accurate representation of Fizz's pickup in competitive play at all, but the last Fizz that I remember seeing on like a professional stage was, I believe, AHQ's Westdoor. It was Fizz into Kassadin, and it was just such a disgusting matchup. If Fizz was Kassadin was totally favored in that matchup, and Westdoor solo killed on the world stage like twice in that matchup, and it's just, the champion is just disgusting, and it's really, really fun to see it getting picked up on a competitive environment, because even though it seems like one of those champions you just pick in solo queue to just make people mad, it actually does provide a lot of value to a pick composition, which St. Clair has done pretty well with this Malphite pickup.
Yeah, another thing to point about the Sylas ultimate is that Malphite's ult scales with AP, so when Sylas takes the ult, he could do a lot of damage if they're grouped.
That's honestly a good reflection as well. You have a lot of value out of that unstoppable force just for the AoE knockup alone. But now it's not just an AoE knockup, it's an AoE knockup that's going to kill you from full HP. That's very terrifying.
Yeah, especially with how easy Sylas has follow-up on top of that. He just ults in and then you can just be bursted. Sylas is actually very strong this preseason.
I know you have particular affinity for the champion. He's been trying to get me to pick it for him all season. We'll see, maybe. If Sylas pops off in tonight's game, maybe we'll take a look at drafting up Sylas in some of our League of Legends club games for CSL. But here tonight, going into another game of Collegiate League of Legends here, I am really excited to see these matchups. And particularly, we've mentioned the mid lane and the top lane, but this bot lane matchup as well is a very interesting matchup, because you have two kind of mid to late game carries combined with two very aggressive early game supports. So it's really going to come down to how these players pilot the lanes and play. As we mentioned, Leona on the side of Western is a challenger level player. And as we look at that, we have just really high ranking players on Western side that are going to really make it difficult for St. Clair to kind of play their A game the way that they would like to play it. So a lot of these lanes are going to be skill matchups for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And going into this game, I'm very excited to see how we play out this bot lane. It seems like more of the impactful side of the map is bot mid, and it's going to be really intense to see how that works for the team.
Yeah, I mean, drafting is just such a fun part of the game, and I'm always excited whenever I get to cast these games and get to take a look at these drafts and see what kinds of picks people are using to respond to what. The Silas counter to the Malphite was very intelligent. The Fizz counter to the Victor was also very smart. That Kane snapped up as soon as Graves got picked up. Both of these junglers have been dominant for the last 3 or 4 months or so, just these carry jungle threats that have such incredible clear speeds. This is going to be one heck of a game for sure.
Mm-hmm. Zeddy, are you feeling the level 1 invade, or is that just me?
I'm looking at it and I'm like, it could go either way, right? You have that stun set up on both Leona and Braum, but I feel like St. Clair does have a little bit of an advantage in the early game. Victor and Kane are both pretty useless level 1. Aphelios basically isn't a champion until he has 1 or 2 items under his belt. So it's going to be tricky to say. I would suspect, and kind of having seen St. Clair play a number of games over the course of the season, I would suspect that they're just going to 5-point. I don't really see any motivation for St. Clair to invade. And even though there is that motivation for Western to invade with Victor, they just don't have the tools to make it happen. I have been surprised before, so we'll see what happens. But just initial survey says probably not.
Yeah. And speaking about Western, we got their team lineup. It's Jayoya on Silas. We have Cyber on Kane, Loyal on Victor, Pleb Lynx on Aphelios, and Blazed Nova on Leona.
I don't know any of these players personally, but as mentioned before, we had the opportunity to kind of peep their stats a little bit, and they are all very impressive players as well. We're looking at here, we've got the OPGGs pulled up on our end here, taking a look at some of these players. We've got Cyber, Challenger rank support, Skytech, Grandmaster player, Loyal is Master tier, Pleblinks, Diamond 1, and Jayoya, Diamond 3. So definitely not your 5-man ARAM squad that you're playing with at 3 a.m. These guys are very, very good at the game. They spend a lot of time studying, practicing, and playing as well. And it is going to be a very good game for St. Clair as a kind of like a check, to see how you've been doing this term, because we've played against a number of teams this season that have had relatively similar ranks, but this is going to be like the ultimate test going into playoffs in January, in February. This is going to be the game that really lets St. Clair know where they're at, because if they pull a win here, they're feeling great about themselves going into the playoffs next season.
Yeah, and Zeddy, something I'd like to note is Cyber, the support main, was actually Jundle this game. And Blaze Nova was not on the file that we received. So
that's actually I did not catch that. Thank you for noting that. So it looks like there may be a little bit of an off roll here. I doubt that's going to make too much of a difference. Typically, players of that high of a rank have more than a functional understanding of all lanes in the game. So it shouldn't make too much of a difference for how this game plays out. Kane is not a very mechanically complex champion either. He kind of just face rolls and wins games. So hope if you're Western, if you're a fan of Western here, you're really excited looking at Cyber in that jungle there on the Kane pickup. And if you're St. Clair, you're happy to see this squad that we've seen perform so well over the course of the season come into another game here. Looking at these summoner spells though, we got Exhaust Victor mid into the Fizz. Ooh.
Yeah, he's really scared of that lane matchup, it seems. He wants to make sure that he does not deal as much damage with his burst and to keep him off of him. For sure.
Yeah, the exhaust pickup into the assassin is just such an interesting choice. I play a fair bit of assassins, and every time I see exhaust, I'm like, I get more empowered by that. I'm like, oh, you're scared of me? Let's get, I'm ready to get going. But I don't think there's any fear in this game. I think it was a very wise choice from Loyal in this matchup. He knows his strengths and weaknesses. He knows what's important to him in this matchup here. And as the champions enter the lanes, it looks like it is going to be a traditional 5-point on both sides. Cyber was having a little bit of time trying to figure out what he wants to buy. Maybe the autofill was getting to him a little bit in this early start here. But as the champions line up, looking at this game and this setup, what are you looking at for early clears here, Curtis? Where are they going and what are they trying to do?
I believe that St. Clair is definitely going to be playing to their bot side, trying to get that Vayne ahead, trying to get it to the mid game safely, because Vayne's early game is not all that strong. With Graves having good clear and staying relatively healthy, it's pretty easy for him to just start and play to the mid bot. I see a ping on red buff, so I'm thinking that he's going to start red instead of what I believe was going to be into a blue, red, and then maybe Cruds at the bot lane, but he might have a different idea in mind for this game. Since top lane is not very a volatile lane, it's just Malphite doing Malphite things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there's lots of different ways that you can approach the game here. It looks like there is actually a delayed invade coming out from Western, looking at maybe potentially going for a Raptor steal. I don't know how well this is going to end up for them. They are getting a fair bit of damage down onto Nancy. The stun does come down, but Nancy flashing out there. Cyber, very low HP, flashing away, does have the Ignite burn onto him. Yansu sticks the stun onto Blaze Nova. Western is just going to retreat here. Yule taking a fair bit of damage. It looks like Pleb Lynx is actually making the call to continue there. There gets the auto attack down. Fizz goes down. Yule is the first to fall here in this fight here. And Western is still going, chasing now onto Lozzy on the Bane. Lozzy flashing back into the red buff and then committing to the fight. There's a double kill now for Pleb Lynx. Not the way you want your game to start if you are St. Clair.
Yeah, and you were saying about that Victor and invades. He's now at 50 out of his 100 because he just got 2 assists.
Oh, that is just really, really rough. Miansfu just getting the cheeky little Q there onto Pleb Lynx before he returns to lane. Having committed both summoner spells, it is worth noting that since such a high number of resources on both sides were committed here, it's not necessarily all doomed for St. Clair, but definitely spoon-feeding 2 kills to an early game of Felios, and that 50 stack buff onto Victor here is not going to feel good going into this mid game. Definitely going to mean some different macro choices coming out of St. Clair. It might not be as easy to take some of those early dragon fights now that Western has such a big advantage now. The game is definitely not over though. There's plenty more League of Legends to see. Let's see what the rest of these lanes turn out to be like.
Yeah, this laning phase just got a lot more difficult. It seems that Trick decided to go Wolves into back because I believe that Invade made him pretty low on HP, having to use his potions and just taking a lot of damage from the enemy team from Western. And now we're looking at Yule going aggressive, getting the Electrocute proc, and then Loyal hitting him back with the phase rush, being able to run him down just a little bit more. That's very important for these range versus melee matchups, is you got to know when to go in and when to get out.
And especially with this Victor choice, it was actually interesting to see at the very beginning of the lane, before the champions ended up in the lane, Victor tossed out the laser on to Yule. Big chunk there up on the top lane, present quite a bit of damage from this ability power champion Silas up in the top lane. But looking again at the mid lane, starting off with the Death Ray on Victor as opposed to the Q. It's an interesting choice into the melee matchups. Typically, Victors will take the Q into melee matchups so they can get their auto poke, but I'm highly prioritizing the Death Ray in that lane here. This bot lane getting very aggressive now with that early lead.
Surprisingly, St. Clair is actually able to take this Scuttle away from Western. They're looking for a little bit of a fight. Yule is going in on Cyber, Cyber went over the wall. Oh, the flash by Trick to follow Cyber, looking for not first blood, but looking for a kill. Lozzy runs up, gets the kill. They're looking to extend this fight in the mid lane. Loyal chasing down Yule. Yule is dead by the Victor laser. They're chasing him through the mid lane. Lozzy is looking to accelerate his lead into this mid lane to try and match with Pleb Lynx. That was a very intense fight that we were not expecting because they were supposed to be behind with how that first fight went, and they really did a well-played rotation from bot lane to try and get themselves back into this game.
It kind of looks like a mistake, right? Because you have the bot wave crashing against your tower, and you're like, I don't want to leave, I don't want to lose all this XP. But knowing that neither of these champions on Western's side have their summoner spells available means that Lozzy can just walk up and right-click away, and that's 2 kills now being handed to the Bane. He's hardly down any CS as well. He is taking a recall here, so he's probably going to lose a wave to Pleb Lynx in the bottom lane. He is down a significant amount of XP as well. But coming back to lane now with the Vampiric Scepter and the Dagger, it's going to mean that these fights are going to feel a lot better. Yule hovering in the bottom lane, does get ambushed by Cyber in the brush, but he's going to Urchin Strike his way out of there, walk himself out of that one. And now here's Cyber going for an extended invade here onto the Krug. Does have Blaze Nova over the wall shadowing. Yule is just going to fight him out a little bit, push him outside of the jungle here as Lozzy walks down to clean up that Krug camp, resetting himself back into lane.
Yeah, it was a good rotation down from Yule after his bot lane went to mid that he decided to go grab this bot wave, and they just wanted to capitalize on him having to rotate back. But he was just such a slippery fish that it's just impossible to stay on top of him. He was just able to walk straight away.
Looking at this game now, like after the way that early game played out, I suspect that both teams will kind of want to chill the pace of the game a little bit. You don't want to overcommit now, especially when you don't have summoner spells. And both junglers doing a very good job of kind of being unseen threats from the map. We can actually see Trick in the top lane now, taking away the enemy Krugs, putting himself in a position where he is able to be a resource for Frez should that moment come. And there it is, goes Frez with the unstoppable force, abusing that level advantage onto Silas, does commit the ulti there, puts a fair bit of damage down in the top lane. Trick clearing out the minion wave, potentially looking to extend this dive here a little bit. And there goes Silas looking for a trade back there. Trick does manage to pick up the kill. Both champions running away now from Cyber, who was defaulted back to the wave now in the bottom lane. An extended trade here as well. Curtis, every time we see St. Clair play a game, as soon as a fight breaks out top lane, there's another one that breaks out at the exact same time. I am running out of breath here. It is just non-stop fighting.
The top lane fight was actually very telegraphed by St. Clair. They had a slow push that pushed out into the wave, and they always want to dive on that Malphite. He had sits before him because of the slow push. They had so many minions that Silas wanted to get, so he could not hit sits off of that. They dived with Trick in the top lane because they had so many minions to bat them up with damage and to support them. It's a very telegraphed play by good teams like St. Clair.
Absolutely, and it's an interesting play as well because previously, last time we looked top lane, Frez was kind of getting kicked around by Silas. So interesting how he was able not only to come back and reset the wave and put it in a favorable position, but then also managed to get himself an XP lead that he then abused into an ultimate lead in that top lane. When you hit level 6, when you can access your ultimate ability before your opponent in lane, you have to abuse that timing. It is such a crucial moment in the laning phase if you have access to your ultimate before your opponent does, because you have a whole other ability that you can abuse if they can. So Frez, great job up in that top lane, abusing that unstoppable force there, setting up for that kill.
Yeah, it's the third cannon minion it's the third melee minion of the second melee minion of the third cannon wave. Jeez, that was a really difficult thing for me to say. And Frez was able to get that lane to push out because the wave crashed. And whenever the wave crashes, it always pushes back out as long as it meets another wave under the turret. As you see in bot lane, it's happening right now. This wave is crashing and it's meeting this wave, so then it will slowly push out. And that's how you create slow push.
That's Wave Management 101 with Curtis the Next here on the Saints Gaming casting nest. If you are new to League of Legends or you are a relatively low-ranking player looking to improve your play, pay attention to these minion waves because they do a hell of a lot more for you than slap those towers. They allow you to not only build your own gold and experience leads in lane, but they can literally dictate the pace of the game here. Now coming up in the top lane, Joyoya with the ultimate steal onto Frez. There's a massive combo. Chains are flying everywhere. Frez not having flash available here, does have the ultimate, is trying his best not to use it, managing to just throw the seismic shard and run out of that one. Definitely an advantage, a nice trade for Joyoya, but not managing to find that kill or burn Frez's ultimate is going to bite him in the butt later. As we see Trick resetting now to his red buff, might make his way back topside and look for another dive as Frez starts to build up yet another slow push.
Yeah, Malphite really is just that kind of champion where you just don't need to match this mechanically outplay maneuver that the Silas is going for. He just kind of hits him with the Q, gets the movement speed, and walks away. They're looking for 3-man mid. Oh, Blazed Nova hits the Q, Yule with the flash, getting away safely. That was really well played. Wasting their time, but he did get a summoner off of it, so.
As soon as Yule committed the Urchin Strike, they jumped on him immediately. But here he goes in again with an expertly timed re-engage here. Blaze Nova had just left the lane and Yule jumped on it immediately. And that's really the power of Fizz in the middle lane, especially into this Victor matchup in a mobile main with no flash and exhaust available. As soon as you see that and you're level 6 Fizz, you are gunning for that kill. So Western had the right idea by being there in the mid lane to support their Victor. Unfortunately, they left him just a moment too soon, and that overstep from Loyal is really going to cost them here in this mid lane matchup.
Yeah, Trick and Lazi doing a really good job of taking advantage of this bot lane priority to steal some camps, while Cyber is just in his top lane, getting his red. It might be looking like he's going for Rift Herald right now. They know that Trick is bot lane with that control ward in the tri-bush, so they might be looking to just sneak this Rift Herald, possibly put it mid or bot, maybe top lane if they're really feeling like they can kill this Malphite, but at this point I don't think that they can. So I'm thinking it's going mid bot.
Rift Herald mechanics are very interesting in general. It's a very high priority objective for a lot of teams, and a lot of teams seem not to value it. And in my experience with looking at the way Saints Gaming plays, there isn't a whole lot of pressure put on the Rift Herald here. In the bottom lane now, Miansu going in for an engage onto Blaze Nova, committing the ultimate. There's Fred with the teleport in the backline. The unstoppable force is going to mean a kill onto Leona. That is, however, 4 ultimates committed just to kill a support, a teleport as well, without being able to capitalize onto Plug here, having burned his flash but not managing to find the kill. Might be a little bit of an overcommitment from St. Clair. They are definitely happy to pass that kill on to Lazi. However, shoving in this bot lane. Now I'm going to get a little bit of gold before that reset.
I'd like to note that since he went bot lane and teleported, now they're heralding the top side, because he was just in top side after getting herald. They're going to put all of this gold into Jayoya, get him ahead. Sylas in the late game is a monster, like I said. This Western team is definitely late game favored with how they have a Sylas Victor, and St. Clair needs to really find these pits in order to get online. Jayoya was almost able to get 4 plates off of that one play, which is way better than just killing the support. Now Trick getting caught out in the jungle, forced to flash into pleb lanes, hitting him and taking him down for his 3rd kill.
Definitely an interesting invade to comment on. When we looked at the top lane previously, we saw Cyber up in the blue side jungle, taking out the wolf camps, counter jungling Trick a little bit. And he was able to do that because he had a Herald stampeding down the top lane, and mid lane was shoved out. Trick, however, on the other hand, attempted to go for a similar invade of his own into the bottom lane, but he did not have lane priority. And this is why minions matter so much when you attempt to make these plays, because you can't default back to your lanes if they are shoving the opposite direction. So Trick gets punished for that roam, whereas Cyber gets to walk out scot-free. So definitely, ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking to learn how to jungle, pay attention to your minions, because they say everything about the state of the game and what you are capable of actually pulling off.
Lazi looking for a really big trade here. He pops the ult. Pleblanes pops the ult right back into him. Blaze Nova going in. They're looking for the extended shade. Lazi and Miansfo running down Blaze Nova, hitting him. Blaze Nova taking down Lazi on a rampage, flashing forward, getting the Braum passive off, getting the shutdown. That was a really well played by Lazi, knowing his limits, playing very aggressive into Pleblanes, being able to know that Miansfo is coming to back him up. They are looking to get these plates now, even it up the gold difference. They're actually in the lead now because of those kills.
Know your limits, play within it. We say it every single time. It's such an important thing to note in these bot lane matchups. And for Western, really interesting choice of them to overextend like that, knowing they had no summoner spells available. Here goes Lazi with the Condemn into the wall. He is going to get ulted though by Cyber. The Death Ray does land. Lazi is still alive with the shot from Miansfo. Lazi actually able to walk out of that. The shield comes up and he protects Lazi from the Sylas here. Lazi getting dove on by there is so many spells getting thrown around here. Oh my gosh.
Lazi, oh my.
Going down here, but there are 4 kills picked up for the side of St. Clair. Now the unstoppable push from Frez combined with the Fizz ultimate here is going to mean an ace for St. Clair. My gosh, what a team play.
St. Clair, that was insane. Lazi's positioning with Miansfo's covering and great peeling made him live for so long. They greeted for him so hard, and they punished it so well. It was very well played. Now they're going to be able to get the Dryden off of that play, and Frez is tying up his gold difference in the plates by whacking away at this turret.
It's really important to note here that with these team fights the way that they've been going, like you've mentioned that Western has a late game composition. St. Clair's comp is not that bad late game either. So these early game fights going their way is a really big deal. Looking at items really quickly though, interesting to note that Lazi actually selected to go for the Immortal Shield Bow as opposed to the Kraken Slayer. Typically the Kraken Slayer, you pick it up on Vayne, not just for the 3-hit passive synergy, but also because you get that plus 10% attack speed on every legendary item completion. Whereas Shield Bow gives you, I think, it's flat damage and health. So a very defensive build from Lazi considering how ahead he is. It may impact his damage later on in the game, but it will definitely make those Sylas dives a little less intimidating.
Yeah, he's definitely more survivable into the Kayn and the Sylas. It looks like Western is going to be able to hit this bot turret with how strong Aphelios is with these 2 guns, Crescendum and the red one. I don't know. They got the bot turret, and now they're looking to put Frez out of his lane, getting him pushed in, pushing these bot waves and possibly looking for rotation. On the other side of the map, we got Cyber going top lane, Lazi hitting the ult, hitting the stun off of the Braum passive. Cyber inside of Lazi, they are looking to blade all over him with these 2 spinning characters. Lazi hitting a really good job peeling off. Miansfo is so good at keeping him alive. Lazi with some great positioning, they're able to pick up another double kill onto Lazi. He is 7-2 on this mid to late game carry. It is going to be insane for St. Clair.
It was definitely an interesting play of top lane, you know Lazi is this fed. You know he has his ultimate available. You know his item power spikes are insane. The Braum is standing right there, and you're sending 2 melee assassins into fight this. Unfortunately for Mansfu, Lazi dips out of there, and Bloodlix is just going to walk up top and kill this Braum. Santa Claus is not happy this Christmas. Oh my god. That's a little disrespectful. Looking back at that, he's just like, see you later. Oh my gosh.
Mansfield playing the ultimate support move, dying for his ADC, keeping him alive, letting him get the reset off with his shutdown gold, letting him get his items on the map. He now has a Ginsu's and his mythic item of Shield Bow, so he is extremely strong compared to Pleb Lynx with only the Kraken Slayer.
Yes, Pleb Lynx currently rocking the Infernum and the green one. I love that. That's my favorite thing about Aphelios. It's just so many guns. You gotta learn all the names, but it's just so hard to memorize them. Each one has its own ability name too, and weapon combination, and just such a fascinating character. I'm really excited to see it pop off this game, but if Lazi keeps playing the way he's playing, there's not going to be an Aphelios pop off. This is a really outstanding AD carry performance in this game.
Yeah, this is Lazi's game to win right now. I'm very impressed with his positioning and his ability to dodge. And Yule with the missed ult, Loyal looking to punish that cooldown. Yule is just being the slippery fish. Goodbye. And the fight's over. So
that's it. That's it. When you see Fizz, it's just slippery fish goodbye. There's nothing else you can say about it.
Yeah.
And looking at that top lane there, if that ultimate does manage to stick, that slow is super important for the state of the game. Unfortunately for Yule in that 1v1 fight, with that ultimate missing, just means Loyal's able to run him down and get some free poke on him in the middle lane. Taking, again, yet another look at these items, some very interesting mythic pickups for these champions. Victor, as opposed to the traditional Looted Echo, is opting for the Night Harvester, and Yule, playing the AP Assassin, choosing actually not to go for the Night Harvester and picking up the Leandres instead. Some really kind of, in a sense, like questionable mythic choices. These are definitely choices that you don't expect to see in your game.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I have not really seen much Fizz with Leandres. I've seen him a lot being very good at the start of preseason with Night Harvester, the item that Silas and Victor have chosen this game. And it looks like they're putting a really big push onto mid lane with this Herald that they got off of the play in top. And it was able to get 1 turret and a half, which is really strong to open up this mid map in order to invade more, keep the pressure up, get some deep vision, maybe be able to get these catches off with the catch comp that St. Clair has. Trick going over the wall into Cyber. There's a teleport coming out from Frez. That's Blaze Nova's ult onto the back line. Cyber looking like he's trying to get out, and he's gone. And Miansfo picking up that kill. Frez looking to go in. He flashes. He ults. He's onto the Loyal with Pleblane's ult. Miansfo ulting. Oh, Lazi getting the kill on Joyoy at the top side. Miansfo getting that double. Frez dying to Pleblanes because his team was not able to follow up. Lazi, knowing his limits, going into the tower, getting another kill. Yule picking up that kill on Blaze Nova at the bat side of this fight. They are looking to go pick up the 3rd dragon.
That fight was just chaos. Like, the way it started was Trick kind of overextending into Cyber in the mid-river there. You could see all 5 champions kind of grouped up in the mid lane. You could kind of tell something was about to go down. But then from Western to overextend into this team fight, like, you are down nearly 6k gold into a Malphite and a Fed Vayne, and you're forcing a team fight in the mid lane. Definitely not the call you want to be making. And St. Clair, as you mentioned, really knowing their limits there, just pushing so aggressively under the tower. Like, even after those initial spells went down, even after Yule whipped yet another ult, they still just kept chasing, and they ran them down. Mansfu sticking some very nice passive stuns with the Braum, doing a great job setting up for his team, allowing Lazi to proc those stuns like crazy and lock Western down in place so they can clean up those kills. Very well executed, I think.
Yeah, that fight was insane. I had such a hard time paying attention to everything that was going on. There was a fight here, there was a fight there, Mienso getting a double kill. It was just crazy. What an extremely well-played fight by St. Clair.
These items again really quickly here before we start taking a look at Baron. That 20-minute Baron is a very real possibility, especially when you have a Fed Vayne for the side of St. Clair. So looking at items as we move into this fight, we have Mythics completed on now, I believe, all 10 champions. Looking at the Kane, the Gore Drinker is now available. That item provides so much healing, especially on Red Kane in the middle of these team fights. So it is going to impact a lot how these fights actually play out for Cyber. Looking again in the middle lane, however, we have the Night Harvester finish for Loyal, but nothing else currently at the moment. There is no Lich Bane completed, just the Sheen there. And looking at Yule is definitely feeling himself this game, going from the Leandri's Anguish immediately into the Meiji's Soul Stealer. We've seen this item picked up before. Oh boy. Here's a fight now in the top lane. Yule connecting that ultimate. I mean, there's not much to say here, ladies and gentlemen. It's just a clean kill onto Loyal. Once that ultimate sticks, we haven't seen it stick too much tonight, but once it does, it is devastating for the one.
Yeah, Yule hit a really nice Q into the ultimate to be able to make that a lot less predictable. And now they're looking to go for that 20-minute Baron. Like you said, with how fed Lazi is and how strong Vayne is at taking Baron and objectives, they are looking very good, but it's looking like a 50-50. Since they left Cyber alive, he could very possibly go for this steal. He's going to try it. He goes in. He's early to might. Gets knocked into the wall by Lazi and dies right off of it. So now they can look to make a numbers advantage somewhere else on the map. Joyoya going in with the Frez ultimate on Malphite, looking to fight in this minion wave since Baron's up. Oh, Frez with the counter engage going on him since Frez has anti-heal, which I was going to say before. Anti-heal into this Kane with Gore Drinker and this Sylas. They're looking for a fight in mid lane, actually. Blaze Nova with the ultimate. Miasmo getting messed up by how focused he was in that fight, but that is not the right focus. So now Trip and Lazi being able to take Lazi knowing his limits so well this game, being able to get that kill onto pleb lanes. And now they're looking to go for this inhib turret. Lazi being engaged on by Loyal. Loyal hitting the ultimate. Lazi just barely being able to kill him and queuing out of the ultimate by Loyal. It was so close. And now they are looking to disengage, possibly get this bot turret, which they ended up doing, and steal all of these camps to put Cyber even further behind. Now back onto the anti-heal top. We had Joyoya on Sylas and Cyber on Kane. They are both very heavy healing champions. So Frez being able to pick up that Bami's vest, Ramble vest, was able to Brambles vest was able to beat Joyoya in the 1v1 by applying the anti-heal. He was not prepared to not win that, because he normally would be able to beat that fight so easily with how the W on Sylas works, healing him for 500 at this point in the game, healed him for about 200. It was just pathetic. He just got ran over.
My gosh. Big shout out to Curtis. I mean, that was a crazy team fight, and we don't lose focus of that. That anti-healing, as you mentioned, is a very important factor in these games here. Now Yule looking for a fight over the wall. That's positive. There's all over the wall now, connecting the Urchin Strike onto Joyoya. There's the healing that you mentioned earlier, but it's not going to be enough against the Fed Fizz, cleaning up that kill onto Sylas. But these team fights, it is worth mentioning that Lazi did actually go down to the Victor ult. He tumbled out of the range, but somehow it managed to catch up to him, cleaning up that kill. So there was the shutdown connected there onto Lazi. Now, as this next dragon is coming up, I believe it is a Wind Soul this game, a Cloud Soul this game. And with that Cloud Soul, it is going to mean less kind of attention maybe being put onto the Soul. Cloud Soul being seen by teams as one of the least impactful.
I believe it's a mountain.
Is it a mountain? It might be. Yeah, I believe you're correct. Actually, there are extra walls on the map. There is that signifier as well. So Mountain Soul is going to be a big contest here, especially with the Malphite. So St. Clair with the Baron buff, kind of timing out now here, taking the last advantage of this power play to secure that dragon. It's going to mean 1 point closer to Soul Point.
Yeah, Malphite with a Mountain Soul and being able to increase his armor and his damage, because Malphite is one of those champions that when you get more armor, you get more damage on your abilities. So that is going to be huge for them, and the survivability is just going to mean that Lazi can go for these plays even harder, because he knows he just will not die. He's just so ahead.
I mean, everyone on St. Clair right now is very ahead. And with all this gold now, nearly a 10k gold lead now for St. Clair, probably going to be about that 160 up the top lane tower, looking to break the base now. On Frez has grouped up with the rest of the team. He is looking for a big ultimate to engage these team fights. So as St. Clair gets these Braves slow pushing into the tower, we may see a 5-man dive attempt. They're going to take the reset now, but keep your eyes on these lanes, because as St. Clair goes for this push, it may be the last one of the game.
Yeah, it's looking like it's going to be trying. They're going to try and finish this game off. Lazi picking up some anti-heal himself with the executioners. I love to see it. Yule with the 24 stats on Mage Eyes. He's doing a great job this game as well, being able to really shut down these split pushers and just keeping his team ahead with these catches that they're getting. They're doing a very good job with a catch comp when they're not all group. So they're being able to find these really nice pits and just accelerate their game by winning on all sides of the map, it seems. This game has just been, they're winning top and they're winning bot, and it's just been crazy.
Haven't seen, taken a quick look at the 80 carries recently though in their item builds. It is worth noting for Club Links, the Runon's Hurricane is now available. That is such a big item for Aphelios because it makes all of his weapons apply their on-hit effects to 3 targets as opposed to just 1. That includes the Graviton Cannon, which does allow for a 3-man route. So, lots of utility now available to KD carry on the side of Western, but on the side of St. Clair, Lazi is nearly completed his 4th item now. We don't just have the shield bow, we have the shield bow Bloodthirster combo as well, which means that there is so much sustain available to this Vayne. As long as he does not get one shot, he will basically be able to heal himself to full in every single team fight. Very scary threat in his bot lane.
Very scary carry, right? And
scary. Hashtag scary carry. Let's get it in Twitch chat. Definitely relevant this game. Lazi is the scariest carry I have seen in this preseason. That is a lot of damage coming out of this game.
Both teams were kind of looking like they wanted to just kill each other in a bush, and it's just a nice little stalemate for the start of this game, the part of this game. And we're going to look like St. Clair just wants to play it safe, wants to posture around Baron. They're taking this extra few minutes to just establish the vision control, look for some pits, and they're just going to be looking to play with topside. As you said about Vayne having the double healing items, Victor and Aphelios both have anti-heal, along with Jayoya on Silas. There's a lot of anti-heal on the Western side, so this lifesteal might not be as much as it turns out to be.
It's definitely not going to be as impactful as you would expect it to be. That being said, these fights are always long and drawn out, especially against champions like Victor and Aphelios that take a while to deal their damage. Having lifesteal makes your extended fight feel a whole lot better. Cyber posturing over the wall, looking potentially to go for another Baron steal. We do have quite a bit of Baron damage here with Vayne. This is a risky play from St. Clair as opposed to guaranteed surefire play of breaking the base. They're going to the Baron. The fight is now breaking out here. Aphelios committing the ultimate as well as the Victor and Leona. There is quite a bit of damage. The Victor does actually have his ultimate available. There was a death ray that got committed onto the front line. So St. Clair backing off the Baron here, but not willing to press the go button either. Waiting for lanes to slow push in because now Western has to respond to these waves. And having forced Western off of the Baron, they're going to look for a re-engage. With 2 ultimates now not available for Western, this is a 3-5 ultimate disadvantage for Western in this Baron fight.
Yeah, I'm very surprised that they're going for these 50-50 plays, where I feel like they should turn off of this with the Malphite ult. But I believe that they're just very confident in Trick being able to hit these smites, and Cyber getting the Baron steal, being able to get out of the pit. Not actually. He missed his Q, he had a wall. Now they're looking to accelerate onto the 4v5. Even though they have Baron, they're looking to make this play. Mianso going in. He's trying to get that Victor. Lazi running in with the ult, getting on top of Blaze Nova with the Yule Fishy on top of him as well. They're looking for a 5v3 fight in the mid lane. The Baron might not matter. They might just be able to hit these kills.
Proving that challengers are just people too. Unfortunately whipping that Q over the wall. Here comes Frez with the 3-man unstoppable force. There's the knockup of the Club Links. Aphelios goes down. Yule in the backline chasing out Loyal. He is going to get out of that one. Resetting now onto the tower. St. Clair might just break the base here. There's 4 dead on the side of Western. Cyber is respawning, but it's just a Kayn. He's not going to be able to do too much here. With a 3-5 defense here on the side of Western with no ultimates available, this is going to be a very tricky fight here. Miansu posturing up in the front, looking to set up some stuns here, while Lazi breaks down the base. Here comes Blaze Nova having respawn now. It's still a 3v5. It's going to be very hard for Western to defend this base. Yanspo does go down here. There's the flash now. Lazi is still alive, picking up the rampage onto Leona, now fighting against Loyal. Loyal does manage to find the kill, and actually Western are able to hold the base here with the Baron still available on Victor. The game is not over yet. It looked like it was doomed, but Western is still holding their ground here. 30-13 now for St. Clair, but it is not over yet.
Yeah, Loyal in that fight was able to get around 1,500, 1,600 gold off of those 2 kills. So since he's such a late game carry, he's going to be really strong after his net's back. and we're looking like we're gonna get another dragon onto Western side, stopping the soul point, stopping the soul, not soul point, stopping the soul from St. Clair College. They're looking to reset and defend their base for the next few minutes.
Looking back now at these plays, that Baron, it kind of looked like a mistake at first, but now it's definitely a mistake. Like, you're already 10k gold ahead. You can just break down the base, but choosing to go for the 50-50, as you mentioned, and forcing that Baron when you could just very easily take a team fight and win it without it, just seems like not worth the risk. And unfortunately for St. Clair, Cyber winning that smite duel onto Trick. It looks like Trick now has a level advantage. I couldn't tell if he had one at the time of the Baron fight. But having that level advantage there means that you have a bigger smite available to you, and it just makes the Baron play so much more risky. Definitely a questionable choice from St. Clair. They were able to take 2 Nexus Towers for it, though, so it's not all doomed. However, as this Baron is still available for Western on the Victor, it is going to make the game a little difficult. It is going to make this base still fairly secure.
St. Clair does have a really easy engage and team fight comp, so it would have been a very easy thing to just group as 5, get the ults off, and just go for it, I believe, personally. But now they're looking...
There are no flashes available for the side of Western, if you notice, which means Fred is going to have the time of his life trying to stick an unstoppable core series. Actually looking for it now here in the mid lane. You're getting engaged on is going to strike his way outside the gravitation field. There goes Fred with the ultimate, does find Victor and Kane here. Aphelios now in the back. Cleveland's doing a ton of damage in the back lane, but it's not going to be enough. Duel picking up a double kill. Mossy getting a kill for himself. There it goes 4 down on the side of Western. It is just Aphelios against the world, and I don't believe Cleveland is going to be able to pull this one off. Not against the Fed Fish. There's their playful trickster, and it nearly one-shots him. There's Trick cleaning off the Nexus, and that is going to be game number 1 going to St. Clair College.
What a game. Wow. That was just really well played by St. Clair, except for the 50-50, but that just happens. They won mechanically very hard. Lazi definitely popped off. Yule had some really nice plays. Frez with some really good ultimates. Mansfo having insane peel. It's just been a really good game. Trick being able to just get some really nice counter jungling off, get the bot lane ahead. The whole team just really came through.
We see Frez struggling up in those top lane matchups, but today really managing to come into his own, not just winning his lane, but setting up some really nice gank opportunities and even solo killing his laner later on in the game, finding some really excellent initiations as well with that unstoppable force. So very well played from the entire Saints Gaming squad. This is definitely the kind of composition that they feel most comfortable with. Having had the opportunities to kind of work with the team personally a little bit, they really like these press R comps, is what Coach Yuri Blazin likes to refer to them as. These compositions that have big ultimates that really impact the state of the team fight. So you're looking at Braum, you're looking at Fizz, you're looking at Malphite. These are big champions that have very scary Rs when they press them. Big threatening ultimates. And having the ability to kind of combine those ultimates in those 5v5 team fights that we saw in the late game, St. Clair did an excellent job of coordinating their initiation.
Yeah, it was just a really well-played game by St. Clair, taking advantage of all of those mishaps that happened and misstates that Western did with overstepping into the Malphite ult, into the Braum ult. It was just really well-played.
Remember that this game started off with 2 kills going to Pleblinks. Western late-game Aphelios. Like, 2 kills is how that game started. 50 stacks on Victor's evolution. Like, this game was not looking good for St. Clair in those first 5 minutes. And then they managed to recover so well with that excellent rotation from bot lane into the mid lane, picking up that double kill for Lazi, I believe. Setting that goal into him, getting to pick up some of his core items in the early game and propel himself further down through the mid game. It was just everything kind of started coming up St. Clair after that 5-minute mark.
Yeah, what are you thinking for bans into game 2? Like, what is Western going to respond to this St. Clair draft with? Are they going to ban out this Vayne? Are they going to respond with a more different comp, different playstyle? What are you thinking?
The Vayne ban is definitely possible. I would not be surprised to see a Malphite ban. Even after picking the Sylas, which is supposed to be a very strong lane for Sylas, Frez was still able to out-impact his opponent in lane. And with just Malphite being such a strong champion right now, unless you are able to take it out of the game, you need to take it out of the game by banning it. If you can't take it out of the game on the Rift, you got to take it out of the game in draft. There's no other way around that champion. So I would not be surprised to see a Malphite ban. The Lazi, as we mentioned, had an excellent performance on the Vayne as well. Likely could be a ban. It's gonna be worth noting though that once those 2 champions get banned, something's got to give. And we may see something like the Akali end up freeing up in these bans. which could totally shape the state of the game going into game number 2. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break before we jump into game number 2. Thank you so much for watching game number 1, and we will be back shortly with more Collegiate League of Legends after the break.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome everybody again to game number 2 in the St. Clair College versus Western University match tonight here on the Saints Gaming channel. Game 1 was insanity, and I am so excited to see how game number 2 plays out. We saw some excellent performances from the carries on the side of St. Clair, as well as some astounding support utility plays from Miensfo and Frez on the Malphite and the Braum, respectively. Just incredible initiation from those utility carries in the game. The whole team played exceptionally well. Curtis, what are your thoughts on games number 1 before we jump into game number 2?
I saw a lot of aggressive teleports coming out of Frez, stuff that I haven't seen before from him, and it went really well for the most part. The first one was a little bit iffy because the Kane in topside with the Herald, but it worked out really well to get the bot lane ahead. Now we're looking at Pro Draft. They ban out the Fizz, the Graves, and the Vayne from last game. That is insane. They must have had a lot of issues.
Yeah, Western really was not a fan of that St. Clair comp, and literally, it's funny, the exact champion that I named, Akali does end up going St. Clair's way because of that. It does look like St. Clair got blue side draft here as well, which I believe they had in game number 1. I don't know if that's a mistake or if that's how OPS rules allow for, but this is going to be an Akali first pick for St. Clair going into game number 2. You don't typically see the double first pick, but I'm sure St. Clair is happy to have that pick, likely going to Yule. It is a flex pick, but 9 times out of 10, that's going in the mid lane here. And the response from Western is, of course, MF and Heckler.
Yeah, Heckler being such a good jungler right now, being able to really death ball towards the bot lane, where you get them ahead as much as possible to respond to Lazi's presence and how strong he was in last game. So with that pick, I'm expecting a really good engaged support to follow up on Western side.
The Jhin being picked up here for St. Clair is such a strong meta pick, and it's a really powerful lane presence, especially into this Misfortune matchup, which is relatively low range. But Jhin with Braum is definitely an interesting choice. Mianspo does play a fair bit of Braum, but combining Jhin with it is just kind of awkward because Jhin does not, unlike Vayne, does not have a very easy time proccing those Braum passives. So it's going to be a little harder for Mianspo to set up those stuns in the bot lane 2v2.
Yeah, there's that easy engaged support. I was talking about my favorite support personally. It's Thresh. I'm very excited to see how this champion is played on the side of Western. And as you were saying about that Braum Jhin, it is very clunky at times, but the CC chain makes it all worth it in the end because you're just able to really lock someone down.
That is true. You do have the ability to deadly flourish on top of the Braum stun once it lands, which can equal relatively just about 3.5 seconds worth of crowd control onto that single target, which is just really devastating, especially against a champion like Thresh, which has relatively low armor and magic resistance in the early game, because it's going to be a lot of gank setup available for St. Clair here. As we move into second phase, that Sylas is being taken away, which means St. Clair might be looking at Malphite again as another option. It is a very good response to Misfortune being able to access that backline. That being said, I would not be surprised to see Western either picking or banning it away themselves here with this last and final ban.
Yeah, leaving open that Malphite for Frez is just really good for him. He's going to be able to do pretty much the same thing he did last game, which is just play with this Braum, play with this bot side, get these really good team fights off where you're just making them go into a bouncy castle, and it's just really comfortable for him in the lane. So he'll always have something to impact with these team fights. But they banned out the Ornn.
Yeah, okay. Well, that is very interesting. We have the Malphite ban coming up from St. Clair. I guess they don't want Western to combine that with the Hecarim. There is a little bit of anti-synergy there with the Malphite and the Hecarim, while they basically do the same thing, or just about the same thing, with relatively similar access to a backline. We just got confirmation from the production team. It is a loser chooses side here, so it looks like Western wants their red side drafts. They want the ability to get that first and second counter pick here. So Western did choose the red side for game number 2 here. It is not a mistake. We will be carrying on into the game here. And as we move into pick number 4, Western taking away the Echo for themselves. That is a very strong response to Akali in the mid lane. It's a decent matchup either way, but it does put a lot of pressure now on St. Clair that mid lane will not be a free ride. There is the opportunity for Echo to snowball out of hand. And speaking of snowballs, Nunu and Willem looking like the jungler for St. Clair.
Blue side Nunu is very interesting because you do not have as much of an easy access into the Dragon Pit, which you could very easily do at the start of the game. So it's going to be a little bit different with pathing, but I think it's a really good pick in order to really snowball their lead.
Nunu is a fairly decent response to Hecarim, since while Hecarim can be a crazy gank threat, so can Nunu, and he has similar, if not even stronger, neutral objective control as well, with the ability to just chomp his way through Scuttle Crabs, through Rift Herald, and through Dragons. As you mentioned, the Dragon access is going to be a little awkward from the blue side, but the Herald access will be quite strong. And since you are running a high priority mid and top lane, it is likely that St. Clair may be prioritizing Heralds a little more heavily with this draft. Western picking up the Fiora as a response to the Shen, going to Frez up in the top lane. That is a skill matchup as well. It is a matchup that can very easily go either way. So again, some very threatening lane matchups in this game number 2. We've seen St. Clair pop off like crazy game number 1. Let's see if they can do it again game number 2.
Yeah, Western definitely having a really strong dive comp with this Hecarim and Thresh at Fiora. They're just going to be looking to just get on top of them, get into these squishy parts of Jhin and Akali, and just really try and capitalize off of that. And then St. Clair having a really strong play to your bot side, play to your mid side comp, having Shen for the utility. As I stated before, Shen is really strong right now. Just being able to be that force. He's just really good with the Season 11 items as well in preseason. Sunfire, insane on him. Titanite Hydra, really good on him. He's going to be a real big tank.
Looking at both of these drafts, there does seem to be a little bit of kind of missing draft identity with these choices from both teams. You mentioned the dive comp for the side of Western, and while they are somewhat divey, there is also this element of like we want to force aggressive fights on one side so Fiora can split on the other. So then you're diving with like Hecarim Echo as your lead, which is very strong, but then your backline is Thresh Misfortune. And with the amount of dive that St. Clair has available to them with the Akali, you're kind of splitting your fight lines a little bit. So I honestly feel that for either team, you're kind of running a similar situation, right? You've got this really aggressive frontline support with Braum, and then this very backline heavy carry with Jhin. You have this diving mid laner and this diving jungler with this defensive anti-dive top laner in the Shen. So both comps are kind of just like all over the place with what they're attempting to do. And if you're looking at it objectively, they're relatively similar compositions. So again, it is going to come down to who outperforms the other. And that is the best kind of League of Legends to watch because you really get to see people's skills shine through in these types of matchups. So as we go into game number 2, best of luck to all the players. We saw some excellent performances from Lazi and Yansfo in the bottom lane. Yule with some great solo kills as well on the Fizz. Frez having an exceptional performance on the Malphite. Just really all around well done gameplay from St. Clair. Maybe Western will find it within themselves to give us a game number 3 because I've been enjoying watching this series. But we'll take a 2-0 any day of the week.
Yes, we will. I'm very excited to see how this goes. Thresh, I'm super excited for. He's my champion that I enjoy, even though I play top lane. It's a little awkward, but
no, we'll look into Thresh top lane. We'll explore. We'll mess around with it.
Let's not
in normal games on a level 13 account. We won't touch it in ranked, but that's okay. But definitely Shen Fiora are some very strong top laners for this season. So if you are in Twitch chat, you are looking to pick up League of Legends, and you are excited by some of the champions you are seeing here on the map, definitely Shen and Fiora are 2 strong recommendations going into preseason 11. They are very fun to watch, and they are very fun to play. There is a lot of things you can do with these champions that is like kind of advanced skills and mechanical play. Even on champions like Shen that seem relatively simple, there is a lot to know about, for example, how to position your sword, how to make the use of your 3-hit passives, how to set yourself up for an ultimate so you don't just get immediately stunned and canceled. Like there is a lot to think about with these champions, and it makes them really interesting and interactive to play with.
Yeah, Shen involves a lot of laning phase, just being able to shove it out before you make your rotation so that you're not punished heavily by the split pushing Fiora. If there's a bad situation where Frez ends up leaving his lane at a bad time, Fiora could capitalize off that very strong by being able to melt turrets with her Q and her E, just dealing so much damage.
Looking at these builds, these compositions rather, what's the build for Fiora this game? Do you think it's a Sunderer or is it a Triforce or something different? Looking at
thinking Sunder myself because of how tanky the St. Clair team is, and the fact that Sunder does so much damage to turrets as well. If she's just in a split pushing position, where most of the time she should be able to win because Fiora is just that kind of champion, I believe that Sunder is probably the call for this game.
It's a very strong item, and it's likely going to be the pickup for Hecarim, for Cyber on the Hecarim in the jungle as well. But looking at kind of the flip side for St. Clair, Shen 9 times out of 10 will be going for the Sunfire Aegis, but the Thornmail, which is such a great item for Shen, is also super helpful in this matchup. It shuts down Hecarim's healing, it shuts down Echo's healing, it shuts down Fiora's healing, and it's pretty decent value against the 3 AD carries on the side of Western. So if Frez has a good laning phase, it is going to be very hard for Western to break through this front line. Looking at the rest of the composition for St. Clair, we do have a fair bit of healing on our side as well with the Nunu and the Akali. I believe there is going to be some healing available with either Conqueror or Fleet Footwork being the two typical keystone choices for the champion. Likely going to see some anti-heal being picked up on the side of Western as well. So again, Grievous Wounds with their popularity in preseason 11, definitely going to be making an appearance in this matchup as well.
Yeah, Grievous Wounds, all of the items except for Executioners got lowered in price, so they're all 800 now. So Bramble and the Orb, Oblivion Orb, I believe, they are all 800 gold. So it's very easy to just fit it into your build as like a small component. And Shen in lane could build it against Fiora's healing with her passive Vital Prots. That's a very big part of Fiora, is her vitals give her health, and her ult, if she can get all four, gives her even more health. So
times out of 10, we're going to see that Bramble Vest coming up first for Frez in this top lane matchup. And like we mentioned before, it is going to be a very impactful item once he completes that Thornmail for the rest of the game. Preseason 11 has always been about dominating your lanes, building that gold lead, and expanding into those strong components. I can't remember the name of the tier before Legend, but it has been spelled out by Riot. They have kind of this new idea with this shop of kind of separating items into tiers of effectiveness. And now these new component pieces that build into your early legendary items are all a lot easier to access cost-wise, and their stats are fairly strong as well. So getting an early kill in lane can snowball you to an insane height if you are able to take advantage of those kills through good wave management, through good turret pressure, etc. So laning phase is everything in this preseason.
Yeah, preseason laning phase is just the most important thing, as you said. It's just crazy. Like, the item spikes, the item damage, it's monumental. It's actually crazy. Like, this season feels completely different than anything else. And I've honestly had the most fun I've had in quite a while with this season, and how strange all the items are, and how getting used to it and everything.
I'm excited to have fun as well. And here we are going into game number 2 as the teams set up in their traditional 5-point. We see it just about every game. It's funny because looking at this game, I definitely would have expected the teams to actually go for an invade with these compositions. There is a lot more early game strength available to both of these comps, but both teams happy to kind of just play the slow game, set up in that 5-point here. And speaking of excitement, like, I'm just really, really looking forward to how these games are going to play out. Like, game number 1 took me by surprise. I'm not going to lie. I love my Saints gaming, but Western University is a very good team, and it was just domination for St. Clair. And if that's what game 1 looks like, I can't even imagine what game 2 is going to be.
Yeah, that was definitely just a very big surprise with how, especially the level 1 went, and how Victor was already ahead in his lane, and being able to just stay and chill into the late game as Victor would have just been a godsend for him, pretty much. But now we're looking like Cyber's going to be starting to the top side to his red buff, getting a leash from Jayoya, and Trick starting bot side red, pathing up.
Worth mentioning that last game, both junglers started bot side and pathed their way top, I believe, if I remember that correctly. So looking at this game number 2 now, with Hecarim's choice, with Cyber's choice rather, to start up in the top side and make his way down, means that there is a plan to go for an early rotation onto the bottom lane. And this might be the change that changes the pace of the game here for Western University. St. Clair runs a lot of their plays through this bot lane duo, and putting the pressure down onto this bottom lane with an early gank from Hecarim might be enough to break down St. Clair's early game. We'll have to see how it plays out, but this is what we've seen typically in previous matches.
Yeah, definitely. With the fact that they're death following, which is just playing mainly towards your carries in your bot lane, it's good to start with the top side, especially as Hecarim, because he's such an easy character champion to just walk in and gank off of. So they're going to be looking as Western to let them push in. That threshold went a little wide. They're going to let them push in as much as they can to set up for this Hecarim gank. But it seems like they're holding it about the middle. They're looking for this level 2 advantage, try and hit their health bars down. And the Hecarim's now posturing down bot.
Hecarim went from the red to the Raptors into the Wolves. Likely going to be a blue buff potentially just into the bot lane gank, depending on the wave state. A lot of junglers do, especially with the ability like Hecarim to clear through Raptors and Wolves fairly quickly. May even read for that Gromp clear before Scuttlecrab spawns at about 3 minutes and 15 seconds. So looking at maybe setting up something early there. But here's Frez with a little bit of an overextension into the top lane. Joyoya diving right into the creep wave, chasing Frez, looking for these vital procs. There's going to likely be another lunge here up in the top lane, but Frez does manage to walk out of that one, does not have to commit his flash here. Might just be able to teleport back to lane, and you can already see Trick snowballing onto that top lane Scuttlecrab. In the bot lane now, with priority available for Western, they're looking to make an aggressive play here and set up for a potential Hecarim gank. Nianspo having to flash out of that one, taking the ignite to the face. Lazi looking to set up the stun, but as we mentioned, Jhin has such slow attack speed, he's not able to find that stun connection onto Blaze Nova. In the top lane now, there goes the taunt, locked onto Joyoya. There's the flash from both Frez and Trick. A little bit of a miscommunication there, but they are able to lock down that first blood in the top lane before this dive gets too serious now in the bottom lane. Now Lazi going in for a play onto Blaze Nova. The teleport does get committed by Loyal here in the mid lane onto the Echo. They still have not managed to lock down this kill onto Lazi. They did. Nianspo did fall, as did Frez, but Lazi holding onto his life here under the tower. So 2 kills for 1 for Western. I don't know if that was worth it though. There was a lot of resources committed on that play.
Yeah, I don't believe that we needed to teleport down there as St. Clair, because now, even though Fiora was able to die off of that play, she did burn a lot with those 2 flashes. And as I said before, she's going to be able to get this plate with the fact that her Q and her E do so much damage to turrets. But Frez should be pretty okay in this lane. He has Bammies now, or Bramble now, sorry. And they're going to be looking to just play, hopefully, towards this Nets Dragon that's spawning up soon for the bot lane.
It's Bambi's best.
Yes, it's Bambi's best.
Building a Bambi's best. God, if that item existed, I might actually just quit. Bambi's Cinder is so strong. Bramble Vest is so strong. If they combine them into some demonic combination component item, I would just... Oh god, that would be very terrifying. And as we look at the Shen now building up a little bit of a gold lead now here, trying to catch up on some farm as Fiora takes the reset here, we might see that Balmy Cinder come online a little bit earlier, which will give him a lot of priority and pressure in this lane. That passive burn, being able to automatically shove out the creep wave, will be very helpful in this matchup.
Yeah, both teams are posturing around Dryden now. Cyber getting his golems, getting his raptors, getting ready for the bot lane to be shoved out with pleb links. Just some really nice coordination from both teams. Loyal looking like he wants to go for a stun, just shoving out the wave for Dragon. Everyone's just on the same page, they're all doing the same thing. That's the level 6 advantage on mid, getting the passive proc off, getting the electrocute off, walking down towards Dragon.
These mid lane rotations, especially both being assassins, having the ability to execute some very nice tower dives, some very clean and quick kills, is going to be very intimidating for this immobile carry in the Jhin now in the bottom lane. Blaze Nova throws at the thresh hook. It does go slightly wide, connecting with a creep, not the ideal intended target of that here. But now, bot lane getting aggressive, but here comes Trick with a giant snowball into the bottom lane. Does manage to burn Blaze Nova's flash, actually. That is going to be very big going into this dragon fight. Thresh not having the flash available means that there's going to be limited mobility onto these thresh hooks and also these lanterns as well. Yule taking a bit of an extended trade here onto Loyal. The stun does go down, and Cyber is hovering in the brush. It is warded, however, and Trick now engaging onto Cyber. There goes the Deadly Flourish coming long from Lazi. Cyber is going to ult his way out of there, and now there is no Hecarim ult available. It is a long cooldown. That is about 2 minutes of no Hecarim ulti, so St. Clair might be looking to take advantage of that cooldown and look for a dragon as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's definitely a really good play by St. Clair to get that ult out, get the pressure, push out the bot waves. Oh, that hook from Blaze Nova hitting the Ansel. They're looking to go aggressive. Pleblinks getting onto him, and then Blaze Nova getting the kill. They're looking to go even... They're extending this fight a little bit too long. Frez getting the ult off to keep Lazi alive. Lazi flashing forward to get Pleblinks. Now they're looking to get Blaze Nova on to Lazi's double kill. Wow, that was a fight in the...
from Frez. Really good ult from Frez, because otherwise that would have gone very badly for St. Clair. So being able to set himself up for that ultimate and respond to that play was just excellent awareness from the top laner. And now we have a 3-kill Jhin in the bot lane. That is very terrifying, especially with that serrated jerk already being completed. Gonna get closer and closer to the Eclipse mythic item here. Now, only 8 minutes into the game.
Yeah, that is very good for St. Clair. But as I stated before, with the... Oh, we're just going to talk about this mid-fight real quick, and they're just disengaging. Trick is on the Dragon, gets the smite, gets the chomp. Lazi with no mana, getting ulted by Pleb Links, and plays Nova. Healing pool. They're looking a 4 for 1 Trick in the middle of all of that. Blaze Nova getting the autos off. Pleb Links with the triple.
Oh, see that Nunu ultimate. Just imagine if an Akali second ultimate was available there. That would have been the cleanest quadra kill of the preseason. Oh my gosh. Unfortunately for Trick, all his carries were dead. No one got to see the action live. We get to see it from the caster's desk, but everyone else just sees a gray screen, unfortunately for St. Clair. Now 5-7 here in game number 2. Western is taking control of this early game slowly but surely. The Dragon did go to St. Clair, and there's a fairly big wave pushed up now up in the top lane. We might be able to look for a Herald here as well, but definitely not the fight you want if you're St. Clair.
Yeah, this is definitely looking like a Herald play. If I was Fres right now, I would just go straight towards it, get the jungler on top of this. You have mid prio, you have top prio. There is a pretty good guess that Hatterim would be bot side after that Dragon, since he cleared on the top side to work his way down. So they're looking like they might be waiting just a little bit for it. They're getting the bot wave shoved out. They're looking to get some vision. Akali's roaming up currently. They are looking to snowball into that Scuttle crowd.
We actually see the bot lane rotating up into the mid lane to cover for Yule as he sets up this Herald. Cyber is rotating in. He's currently on his Raptors. He doesn't seem to be aware of his Herald take yet, but as soon as Mianspo shows up mid, I'm sure the Western Spidey senses are going to start tingling, because something has to be up if that mid support is just chilling in the mid lane. Yule rather did default back to mid lane here. He is shoving out the wave while Trick is soloing the Herald currently, but Cyber is nearby. This could be very bad for St. Clair if they're not able to secure that Herald shortly.
I believe they'll get it soon enough, and since Trick is on Nunu, he should be able to just secure it very easily with Smite and Q. As he gets it, Cyber comes in with the E, pushing him back into the wall. They're looking to chase, and then Trick runs away with the help of Yule. Going back to mid lane, just resetting, getting a really free Herald take. Good job by St. Clair on that one.
But that was very close. Hecarim strolled in just as the Herald was on 500 HP. Like, just an inch more and he might have been able to smite it away from Trick. So a risky play from St. Clair, but does pay off in the end as well. Now Fred up in the top lane does have the Bramble Vest and the Plated Steel Caps completed. If you're not familiar with the item, it is basically just Ninja Diving with a fancy new skin. Trick getting shoved away up in the jungle here. But Frez looking like he might have that Bomby Cinder. If we could get a quick look at the gold amounts here for the team, taking a look and seeing what resources we have available here. Maybe get a little bit of nice boost from the production team here. Take a look at what gold we currently have available. But here in the mid-lane fight, a little bit of a dive now onto Fuel. He is going to walk out of that one, actually choosing to re-engage onto Cyber. Cyber does go down as well here. And now Frez going for an extended trade onto Loyal. Not going to find the kill he needs. But yeah, would be really interesting to see what we're looking at here for gold, because these items are going to be a big thing in this game here. Big fight now into the bottom lane. 2 Cheekies coming down. Mossy does get taken out as well. Trez teleporting, but immediately taunting out. Does get ulted by Jayoya, and now the ult from Fiora as well. Going to get lead into the cleanup kill there as well. More fighting and scrapping in the mid lane. Like we said, when there's a fight top, there's a fight bot, and there's a fight mid all at the same time.
Yeah, Frez trying to do a lot this game with all of these teleports going all over the map. Just a little bit late, unfortunately. But his top wave is now pushing out, as I stated before, with Shen. You do not want to leave your wave in an awkward spot, because now Fiora could possibly just freeze this wave and force him to respond. They're getting these plates in bot lane, having a nice wave push off of those kills. It's looking pretty good for Western right now, but I have some faith in the Saints.
Thank you for the production team for pulling up these gold amounts here. We can already see now the gold leads for some of these lanes. In the jungle, there's about a 300 gold difference for Trick. In the mid lane, 500 for Loyal. In the bottom lane, For Misfortune, Pleb Lynx, it is nearly a 2,000 gold lead now in this AD carry role. So while every lane seems to be fairly even, bot lane combined with Misfortune and Thresh is about a 3,500 gold difference in this bottom lane. That's going to mean a lot for items and how they impact the state of the mid game here. We're now currently at about 12.5 minutes. This is typically when teams start to divert away from their lanes and resort back into some of these early game fights, especially now that the second dragon is about to spawn. This is going to be a big fight for both of these teams.
Yeah, it's looking like we're just doing some pretty basic trading in the mid lane, and top lane is shoving out. We're looking for the next dragon here, so it's going to be all bot side and mid side. Since Frez does not have his ult or his TP up, he is just going to be on this island with this Fiora, just hanging out for the next few minutes, shoving some waves. Since he has Tiamat to help him shove those even more, he decided to skip Bammies, go for Tiamat, looking for an engage in bot side. Blaze Nova hitting the hook onto Mianzo. Mianzo flashing away from Cyber's ultimate. Cyber's E, Trick going in, Cyber ulting out, Trick trying to run him down with Lazi's ult on top of it. And then Yule having a nice roam to bot lane into the Pleb Lynx, having a great ultimate there, taking down Mianzo, and then Jayoya getting the solo kill top with Blaze Nova queuing onto Trick, getting this extended fight, running him down. Pleb Lynx getting the kill onto Lazi. Zeddy.
Holy. That was crazy mechanical play from Loyal. The ability, he snapped the E onto Lazi underneath the tower, and the second the auto attack connected, he clicked the ultimate and flew back. Like, there was like a millisecond before that turret shot connected. Incredible mechanical performances from these teams. I was just shocked with how much damage Pleb Lynx's Q did. That double shot just slapped Mianzo for like 400 damage. Like, that was just disgusting. I played Misfortune earlier today, and boy, oh boy, she does damage.
Yeah, that fight was looking good for Saints at the start, but then it went a little bit just too aggressive, chasing them down, and it just started to go really sour after that. Pleb Lynx hit a really nice ultimate into turning around that fight with Loyal showing up.
Mentioned it based off of what you mentioned before. I was going to comment on the Tiamat. With the Tiamat pickup for Shen, it means that if it's going to be building into a Titanic Hydra, this does actually delay the Mythic choice for Frez, whereas if he had picked up the Bombay Cinder, he could have easily pathed into the Sunflower Aegis. Now he's about 1,000 gold behind on that mythic purchase. And looking at the mid lane as well, Yule, instead of going for the more standard Night Harvester, as we've been seeing these days, going for the old preseason build on a Collie with the Ripmaker, going to give him a lot of Omni damage here. Now a little bit of a fight breaking out in the jungle here. AM Trick running away, having contested Western on the Scuttle Crab, not able to find the kill there. Mianzo with the Q over the wall is going to be able to provide a little bit of a slow here. Cyber overextending again. This pony is not having a very good game. Does manage to walk out with just a shred of life here. Trick also surviving by the skin of his teeth. Everyone is just walking away from this fight with just about nothing left. Lazi going for a little bit of an overzealous ultimate here. Does get responded to immediately with the Misfortune ultimate there. There goes Loyal with the kill now into the backline. A triple kill for Western, saying, Clair, these are not the fights you want, and these are definitely not the fights you need. The gold lead is now 8,000 in the favor of Western University, and they're going to push for the tier 2 mid here.
Yeah, 8,000 at 15 minutes is a big number, especially with the second Herald spawning and the fact that they have really good split pushers in Fiora, and Echo being able to split push and then look for those flanks with his W. So they're going to get the second tier turret in mid, and posture back to get these resets off with how much gold that they accumulated over this. Loyal looking like he wants to get this top turret to open up that side to get deep vision for this Rift Arrow.
Curtain call from Jin was a little bit of a face palm there. You could kind of hear the slap as soon as that ultimate connected. Because as soon as he sets up, he just takes the Misfortune ultimate right to the face. Oh gosh, that's a lot of damage, especially with the Collector now being completed on that AD carry. That is so much execute burst with this lethality Misfortune build.
Yeah, the AD builds recently just seem like a lot of lethality, just damage, and that Misfortune ult is just shredding health bars. Lazi was at half when he hit that curtain call, and he just demolished in 2 seconds.
Yeah, with how effective laning phase is and in today's meta and how important it is to have a good lane, lethality 80 carry builds just makes sense because it gives you so much damage in your 2v2 fights that you're able to snowball your leads if you are able to clean up those kills. And the Collector is such a good item for cleaning up kills. That 5% health execute, just making all of your engages and trades feel a lot smoother, allowing you to clean up those kills, especially on champions like Misfortune and Jhin that have fairly long range ultimates where you can kind of, get that fadeaway kill from a long distance. It makes your curtain calls feel really good. It makes your Misfortune also feel really good as well here. So for St. Clair now, with such a big lead into the bot lane side of Western, you're going to have to play a very team-oriented game here. Trick overextending for a ward is going to get caught out by the death sentence here from the Thresh. There's the kill. Blaze Nova actually picking up that kill for himself here. Yule's now in a tricky situation here with Cyber over the wall. There goes the Hecarim ulti into the Lantern, pulling Flood Links in. Yule can't even ult. He is just already dead to this Misfortune, and Western is just going to shove this lead down St. Clair's throat.
Yeah, they all postured the top side for the Herald, and they got a lot more than the Herald, and it's looking like Jayoya going on Frez here, looking to try and get the ultimate off, chasing him down with Lazi, hitting him. Nianspo here to back him up. Lazi, oh my gosh, Jayoya's healing just barely almost hit Lazi, but while that fight was going on, they brought 3 people down to bot lane while they were pushing topside. They lose their inhibitor and 2 turrets off of this, while Cyber is getting the Rift Herald. That is an extremely good play for Western.
Not to mention, Frez got the kill there on to Jayoya. I had to remember the summoner name. It took me a while to find it there. But Frez got the kill there. And unfortunately for Frez, his build has been pretty inefficient this game. Now on his 3rd component item, we have the Tiamat into the Bombing Cinder into the Bramble Vest, which means no mythic completed, no legendary completed, and it's 19 minutes now. So that gold is really not doing a whole lot for St. Clair right now. Would have been much better if that went on to Lazi. So very unfortunate turn of events for St. Clair.
Yeah, that is really unfortunate, but it is all right. What are you thinking as St. Clair right now? What would your path to winning be?
It's very tricky. The draft that Western pulled off here is not only good at team fight, but it's also very good at split pushing. And unfortunately for St. Clair, no one can really match these split pushes effectively. As we saw, Frez struggled in that 1v1 against Jayoya. But here goes Yule now with the Frez teleport on top of the Shen there. Now chasing Jayoya into the backline is going to manage to finish the kill here. Might be the fight that St. Clair needs here. Public is in an awkward spot, but he does have a fairly strong front line there. Yule getting bursted out by Hector. Now a triple kill here for Western. Thresh tanking away those curtain call shots from Jhin. It's just Nianspo and Lazi left available to defend against this 4-man push from Western. The Herald now stampeding down the lane. Cyber gonna smash into the turret with that rampage there. Nianspo sticking the slow, gonna escort his carry out of there. A cheeky little emote from the Thresh there as this Herald gets delivered to the tier 3 tower here. Still alive now as well to do some damage to the inhibitor and maybe even the Nexus towers. It looks like Western is going for throne here.
Looks like they're going to be pushed out of the base. Trick coming in with the snowball. Pleblinks getting lanterned out. They're looking to chase down this fight. St. Clair is trying their best, but Pleblinks is doing so much damage. Royal getting the unstoppable. The teleport coming in from Jayoya. It's looking like the game's going to be all but over. And Yule dying to Cyber at the end. Now they're just working on this Nexus, and we're going into Game 3.
Cool. You go from Game 1 just absolutely stomping Western, then they break your base in 21 minutes. That is painful to watch. Very well executed from Western. Not the performance we've seen from St. Clair, but we did see a very good Game 1, and I'm looking forward to seeing just as good of a Game 3. But that Game 2, oh my gosh. Western just played out of their mind.
Yeah, that was a really good game by Western, and they positioned really well around the objectives that they needed to go for. They got some good vision. They got a lot of good catches out of this Thresh. He hit some really nice hooks that impacted the game and just escalated it to the end. He took the Nunu at that top side and turned it into his own snowball, pretty much.
Yeah, imagine snowballing into a Nunu and making a bigger snowball than he did. That's just, oh gosh. Yeah, the way Western played their early game was just really smart. Like that Hecarim starting topside and being able to be a resource for his bot lane early on in the game. Even though St. Clair actually did manage to pull a little bit of a lead in the early game, I believe Wazzy had 2 or 3 kills to his name before he started dropping a couple deaths. There were just a lot of really unfortunate river fights, and we often see this in collegiate games where teams don't really choose to slow the pace of the game. They're always looking for that aggressive push, and which is why these games are so brawly. Like there's just fights everywhere, constantly. And when you take a game like that, especially when you're running teams that are relatively early to mid game, whichever team gets their hands on those early kills has a huge advantage going into the mid game. And Western just did a very good job of taking their lead and pushing it right down St. Clair's throat.
Yeah, I believe that Lazi got that really good fight in bot lane, and then they weren't able to reset in time for the Dryden. So then Western was able to take advantage of that and shut them down on the Dryden, knowing that they just did not have the resources for it, did not have the gold, did not have the mana. And that was really the tipping point for me where I think the game just started to go a little bit more towards Western's favor.
Yeah, they did a great job of using resources on their team. Before we get into game number 3, we are going to take yet another quick 2-minute break. So don't go anywhere. We will be back with more Collegiate League of Legends just after the break. Welcome back, everybody, to game number 3, St. Clair versus Western University. We are now in the pro draft here. The champions are being selected live in front of you before we get into this third game. Western University now on red side again for the third time. St. Clair, it is loser's choice. So St. Clair choosing to go for the blue side, picking up the Samira as a first pick. This champion gets banned 99% of games that we've seen that I've participated in. But here she is now on the main stage. Samira into the Jhin in the bot lane.
Yeah, they seem to want to go for around the same thing where they play to their bot side, but the Hecarim being picked up by Western seems like both teams are going to be doing the same style of play again. So it's just going to be hard camping these bot lanes, and Samira Leona is an all-in lane where you just always are trying to get these fights to just stick and stay on top of them.
So is a very dominant bot lane duo, and of course into this Hecarim matchup we may see the Olaf coming out. Trick does play a fair bit of Olaf, and having tried it recently in the preseason, commented that the Gore Drinker feels incredible, so we may see the Olaf come out as a response to Hecarim. It is a little early on in the drafting phase to pick it, but they've already shown the jungle. It wouldn't be an awful choice, but actually looking at the Malphite, and I really like this look, this is a great answer to Jhin.
Yeah, this is a really good play by St. Clair because, oh, never mind, it's my favorite top laner. Wow. I don't know if this is going top or jungle, but I am excited to see it be played nonetheless. The survivability and knowing your limits on this champion is incredible with having a heal and a shield and such all-in good potential because he's pretty much Malphite, but his ult gets out turrets and doesn't knock people up.
Really interesting choice from St. Clair, taking the Volibear and leaving the Malphite. Western's just going to snatch that up, and this Volibear, like both Malphite and Volibear are technically flex picks. There is the possibility to run Malphite as an ability power champion in the middle lane, or as a tank in the top lane. Volibear, likewise, you can play him as a bruiser top or a bruiser tank in the jungle. Choosing to go for the Volibear over the Malphite is definitely a questionable choice. I don't hate it, though. I won't lie. I don't dislike the Volibear jungle matchup into Hecarim, and Volibear is a relatively safe blind pick top lane as well. So it's not a terrible choice. Just to me, seeing the Malphite open and just choosing to ignore it is definitely odd.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it per se, but on Western side, they ban out two characters that I'm just a little confused about. Like the Irelia ban, I don't believe Frez plays very often, and the Akali ban, we have a pretty good counter to already on their draft. So it's looking like they're just trying to play the mid-top with these bans, and it's not sticking in my head.
I don't see a Akali ban, mostly because of how much Duel plays it, but also because of how frustrating it is to deal with, especially if you're looking at something like Malphite Jhin here. This Sylas pickup is going to effectively deny a Shen take for St. Clair. It's also a flex as well, so neither Malphite or Sylas has kind of confirmed what lane they're going to. There is always the option that Malphite is a support. It's very unlikely, but it is a flex pick. So we have now two flex picks going into Western's final pick, and they're going to be the Camille going to Frez. He got the Camille. It's the first time in so long he gets to play his champion, and this Camille Galio combo is so good. Being able to use your Galio ultimate to follow up onto the Camille ultimate into the backline. It does confirm that the Volibear is going to be going into the jungle, so Western knows what St. Clair's lane setups are going into this fifth and final pick. But woo, these comps are looking crazy.
Yeah, this is a very heavy dive all-in comp by St. Clair, being able to just really get on top of them super hard. Samir's looking for these all-in. Morgana being picked as a response to this bot lane, trying to keep it safe and keep a lot of CC for this hacker, and being able to Morgana Q into Jhin W to set up a gank is just insane. It hurts real bad. If I had to guess, I'm going to be guessing that this is Sylas mid lane and Malphite top, because Sylas being able to take the Galio ult and get a lot of good roams off of that, along with Malphite not being that horrible in Camille. I don't know per se, but Malphite is really strong right now.
I believe you're correct. I'm looking at these lanes, and I can't really see any other way that this would go. Of course, we will have to see once the players actually lock in their champions into the next phase, who is going where, but it is a fairly safe bet. That being said, Galio is pretty decent into both Malphite and Sylas.
Mm-hmm. Galio.
What if we get the problem and it's Morgana bit?
Oh, well, steady chill. That's all I have to say to that one.
I mean, you don't want to play a melee AP into Galio. He's just built so well for that matchup. So throwing the Morgana might actually make the mid lane a little bit uncomfortable. You could put the Malphite as a support. It's definitely not an ideal lane setup, but it is a good way of responding to the picks that St. Clair have presented here. We will see what Western decides to go for. There's plenty of time for us left to be shocked here going into game number 3, but these two drafts are looking very scary, and I am so excited to see how these games play out.
Yeah, there's a lot of very scary carries on both sides, and I'm excited to see how these lanes turn out, and how I'm excited to learn how to play Camille from Frez in the top lane. It's going to be a great game for him. I'm sure he's very excited.
St. Clair to win this game so that I can have enough of a budget to commission Danners to make me a very scary carry emote. I need it. It's all I'm asking for. That's what I want for Christmas this year, Danners. So I know you're listening to me, sir. Let's make it happen. Very scary carry. St. Clair going into playoffs next season. I mean, if we pull this off, okay, let's look at this game. If St. Clair pulls this off, we're going into playoffs having taken down Western University. That is just huge for morale. You can even lose every other game for the rest of the season and still come out of this game saying, we took down Western. We're the squad that beat Western. So honestly, for St. Clair, this match is more important than anything else they've played all season. And they have so far done a fairly good job of putting the pressure onto Western. Taking game 1 was such a big step. And now moving into game 3, it's going to be crazy if they manage to pull this one off.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see if they can do this. I'm just really amped, to be honest. That's all that I really have to say. Is that
I'm pumped up and I'm not even playing. I'm just watching.
It's true. It's going to be a lot of fighting from the St. Clair comp, and obviously the Western comp as well. With how these games have been going, it's just constant skirmishes, constant fighting all over the map. With the St. Clair comp, I feel like the fighting is just going to be amped up to 11. We're just going to be dueling constantly. Volibear's a great duelist. Camille's a great duelist. Samira wants to go all in. Leona wants to go in. Galio wants to go in. It's crazy.
Bot lane matchup is definitely not ideal for St. Clair. The Leona Samira is such a good combination, but Morgana kind of just says no thank you to the entire play. One spell, that Black Shield, preventing any crowd control abilities from applying their effects, is such a good response to Leona, whose entire kit is basically stuns. 3 out of her 4 abilities are stuns. And 1 ability alone basically deletes the effectiveness of all 3 of those abilities. Samira, as well, does have a way of breaking through the Dark Binding. So it is a little bit of a back and forth lane. But this game is honestly going to be just both teams trying to attack each other and maybe not finding the ways to do it. Galio versus Silas is going to be a little bit of a bloodbath. Camille versus Malphite is going to be a little bit of a fiesta. Volibear versus Hecarim in the jungle is definitely going to be a fiesta. We're going to see a lot of Scuttlecrab fights break out that are very just chaotic. It's the best way to describe this game is chaos. 100%.
This is going to be really interesting. It's just going to be a lot of fighting, as we've stated before. This Morgana, I feel like, is a really good pick to save for last on the red side. And that might have been what they were thinking about game 2, where they were just wanting to keep red side for counter pits. And I think it's going to be really good into this comp for St. Clair. St. Clair's comp.
That St. Clair actually elected to go blue side. So Western given the red side counter pick. That Morgana pick, as you mentioned, it is a very good counter pick. It is interesting, obviously, to leave the support pick for last, but it basically takes out Leona and Galio single-handedly. There are a number of ways of kind of beating Morgana. The main way, obviously, is to bait out the Dark Binding. You can block it with something like Samira's W, and then take advantage of her relatively immobile kit. She's fairly low health. She can be blown up. But there's a reason why this champion is so popular, not just in solo queue, but as a response to compositions like St. Clair's, is because she does her job so well with so much damage, and she's fairly easy to pilot. It's not a complicated character to play. The Q is a very large hitbox. I've gotten snagged by so many Dark Bindings that definitely shouldn't have hit. Riot Games, I'm looking at you. And that ultimate is literally just a tap of an R key, and it's a 5-man stun. So just such a solid pickup in situations like this. So Western did a great job of adding this champion to their roster going into Game 3. It is going to be a very impactful pick in this game, to say the least. But looking at St. Clair, they've got some very scary lanes as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of just pressing R and going in. That's all that I'm seeing for both of these teams, pretty much, which is why we've stated so heavily that it's just going to be a lot of fighting. And I think that we're just going to be seeing both teams running to bot side with the junglers, starting possibly with both top camps. I'm not entirely sure, but on the side of Trick, he could play to his top laner this game, and it wouldn't be that bad. So I think that from Western's point of view, they want to play their bot side, and from St. Clair's point of view, they want to play to either top or bot.
Yeah, there's lots of options for both junglers. I think the main thing is that Trick is going to want to be able to respond to Cyber no matter where he goes. My throat hurts from all these fights. I'm not going to lie. I got my drink here with me, so make sure 40 seconds in before we load in, get your drinks, get your water, get your club soda, get whatever you need to carry yourself through this, because game 3 is going to be one heck of a ride. 30 seconds now before we load into the Summoner's Rift. Curtis, before we enter the third game, let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors. A big thank you to St. Clair College Alumni Association, PC Outlet, Zeppelin School of Business and IT, St. Clair College, Tim Hortons, and the St. Clair SRC. Thank you so much for providing us the opportunities to cast these games for our students. Without these opportunities, people like me and Curtis, who love doing what we do, wouldn't have other opportunities to do this. So we're very thankful and gracious, of course, and we are very excited to get into game number 3 here, St. Clair versus Western University on the Summoner's Rift.
Let's go get amped up, Zeddy. Let's get those vocal cords ready.
What are your thoughts on this game before we get into it? Give me one big expectation that you're looking to see out of this game.
I'm really excited to see Lozzie pop off on Samira personally. That his first game on Vayne, he really likes these high mechanical ADCs where you can just do so much, and I think he's going to do really well this game.
Well, his Vayne games have been quite impressive. We saw in game number 1 his Raven mechanics were very strong, and Samira, like you mentioned, is a fairly mechanical champion as well. You get those resets on your dash with every kill. The Q is a relatively low cooldown, so you're constantly weaving it into your trading patterns. There's lots of abilities for mechanical outplay with this Samira pick, and here we are again with the teams loading in, going into that traditional 5-point. You could have definitely seen them go for an invade here as well, but I guess the Morgana scared it off a little bit. Both teams are just going to be happy to position themselves and spread themselves across the map here.
Yeah, just the traditional looking if you can possibly get a deep ward in and just staring at your opponent. Cyber has done this for 3 games straight. He just goes to the back of red buff and places the ward down while he recalls. It's just a very common thing to happen for junglers this season. It's just been adopted from pro play, and you just switch out to your sweeper and you go back to your camp.
We can see Trick did the exact same thing on the top side. However, he elected to drop his ward in the Pixel Rush. Both junglers backing now have the Oracle's Lens available. That sweeper is going to be able to disable any wards placed by these bot lanes in the early game, which means we may see some very aggressive early game ganks here towards the bottom side of the map. Both junglers here starting on their red buffs. Again, Cyber is going to be pathing his way down bot lane after he clears out this red buff, and on the opposite end, Trick, starting on his red buff, going to be able to make his way up top, like you mentioned, providing some extra value to this Camille pick in the top lane.
Yeah, they need to really get this Camille ahead, because once we get a little bit further into this game, Malphite is going to be such a huge threat on just being able to tank so much. And that's with Blaze Nova getting a nice little bit of damage, delaying their entry to the bot lane, possibly denying some XP if the leash went a little bit too long.
Doesn't look like it, thankfully for Lozzie. No XP reduced here. Blaze Nova taking a big chunk of health back in return. Samira, if you're not familiar with the champion, she is relatively new. When a crowd control ability lands, if she auto-attacks the champion that has been CC'd, they will take an additional 1-second knockup. But Clublink's carrying these bot lane trades, getting 2 4 shots onto the side of St. Clair. Both of these champions relatively low, having to commit some healing now in the bot lane. And mid lane, as we mentioned, is already a bloodbath here. Loyal actually proccing his Conqueror already at a level 2 trade. That is an extended fight and a half here. Now in the top lane, we see a little bit of a bloodbath as well. A little bit of slapping back and forth, some right clicks exchange in the lane. I expect that this is how the laning phase is going to look for the next 10 minutes. Just constant fighting.
Yeah, constant fighting for sure. And I believe Western was just trying to take advantage of the level 1. And Yule getting all in on Cyber going in, but then Yule just flashing away. Really well played by Yule to just get out of there as fast as possible and not get engaged on so far down the lane. As I was saying,
being there, to be fair, that was an excellent rotation from jungle to be able to respond to that threat.
From both junglers just being there, and Trick getting there for the counter gank if it was possible. It's really well played by him. So now we're looking to go into the scuttler time at 3:15. Trick is going to be able to do this top scuttler for sure with how top lane and mid lane both have cryo. And then Headroom on Cyber is going to be able to do this bot scuttler. No fanfare going on, no fights. Just fine.
I mean, we expected a fiddle fight, but it looks like we're not going to get it today. At first, we kind of expected that Trick was going to be matching Cyber's rotations around the map, and we saw that happen in the mid lane. Both junglers going for a full red side clear before that mid lane gank. It was excellent map read from Trick being able to respond to that. Unfortunately, wasn't able to kind of lock down that fight onto the scuttlecock from the bot side here. Now, Yule going for an extended trade onto Loyal. Trick is going to zone him off with the electrocute from the sky there, stoning out this Silas, probably forcing the recall there. We can actually see Loyal channeling that recall now. Trick not able to get that double scuttle crab though. Going to look for potentially a repeat gank mid here before he recalls. Might be a little bit of an over-aggressive dive, but he does have flash available. We can actually see Blaze Nova pathing from base into mid lane. This is going to be an excellent response from Weston if they make the read here. A little bit of a fight breaking on the top lane though. Fred's getting a nice trade onto Malphite, but here goes Trick in the jungle now, fighting against Cyber. Does take the Dark Binding to the face, doing what he can to get some damage down onto Cyber, but the stun, the root from Jin from across the map here. Nice kill onto Laws. He does manage to find the kill onto Loyal. A double taunt here, going into the back line. Yule gets the kill now onto Cyber. Lozzy is resetting like crazy. He is jumping all over the place. Yansku now with this extended fight now onto Plebling. There's a double kill for the Samira. 3 kills now for Lozzy, 1 kill for Yule. St. Clair is so happy with how that fight went out.
Like I said, Lozzy on mechanical ADCs, he does work. Kalista, Vayne, Samira. It's incredible. Every time I see it, it's just a pleasure to watch.
It is, and you can see just those Samira dashes. It's just so satisfying. You dash in, you get a kill. You dash out, you get a kill. You dash sideways, you get a kill. You dash straight to the moon. That's 3 kills. Now, with the noon bow being already completed at 5 minutes, that is a lot of damage. Again, if you are not familiar with these preseason changes, get familiar with Noon Bow. It is the new and improved BF sword. It's better than a BF sword. It gives you attack speed as well as damage, as well as last hit help in that bot lane. Such a huge power spike for Samira in this bottom lane. An easy path towards that mythic item completion. This bot lane is devastating.
Yeah, it's really good. But on the top side of the map, we actually had Frez force Jayoya out of lane, so we're currently at a TP advantage. So I believe that St. Clair would look to take that advantage and look to do Dragon in a 5v4 after Frez is able to push out this wave.
Yep, Frez being able to teleport now onto the Dragon. As you mentioned, St. Clair will have the advantage should they look for that early Drake, and I suspect, as you mentioned, that it will be the call here. We can already see Trick tapping down into his bottom side. His red buff is about to spawn, and for Cyber, since he started red buff, if he's going to match that timing, he's going to have to go top, which means Trick does have the priority onto the Dragon here. We can see a little bit of a fight breaking out in the top lane, though. Frez getting a little ambitious here. Flashing the unstoppable force. Jayoya is going to walk his way out of there. Reaction timing from Frez. It was looking a little scary for Malphite. He did have the XP lead, and that's twice now we've seen the top laners. In game 1 it was Frez, and game 3 now rather it was Jayoya. But the top laner, the first one to recall, is the first one to get the level lead. It makes no sense.
It seems to be just the Malphite maneuver. That's just what it's.
You're right. It's the Malphite difference. Yeah. It's actually into the code. They don't tell you this, but when you're Malphite, you just get more experience. That's why the champions are okay.
Okay. Jokes aside, it was because of
this could be scary.
It was because of the wave being pushed in that Malphite was able to do more CS because he was slow pushing out after the recall, so he hit sits earlier.
Yeah, of course. And we could see that there was obviously a big lead for Frez there in CS and damage, but because of that big wave, as you mentioned, that Malphite getting his ultimate first. However, now Malphite is 6, he has no flash, and he has no ultimate. This could be an opportunity for Trick to make his way topside, but if it takes too long, that ultimate is going to be available yet again. Jayoya is currently relatively out of mana, and Frez is taking his reset now. They could look for a play topside here as Logic gets a little bit aggressive in the bottom lane. It's going to put a lot of pressure onto Cyber to choose where he wants to react. Is he going to go bot to defend his carry, or is he going to go top to save his Malphite and potentially protect from a Herald take as well? Lots of options available for St. Clair right now, moving into that 8-minute time.
Yeah, and every time Yule shoves out his wave, he looks to posture down, looking for these ultimates. especially with Loyal having his ult as well. Taken a little bit early before a fight happens, he might just not have the ult on Yule when a fight actually breaks out and might not be able to just follow. So, taking that a little early, in my opinion. But this fight is breaking up in mid, just a nice little trade, walking away. And we're looking up to Rift Herald, with Cyber going for that early Rift Herald again.
Noting on Silas that the ultimate steal ability, while it has a relatively low cooldown, there is a separate cooldown based on each individual champion you steal from. So stealing from Yule's ultimate early means that he's going to have it available for the next 20 or 30 seconds. Actually, it just despawned now. It's about a minute that it lasts for, but he's not going to be able to access it again. Trick actually with a Herald steal now onto Cyber, forcing the ultimate away. Yule does commit the ultimate now, going for a bit of a fight here onto Jayoya, who has no fun. Ultimate from Frez, holding the Malphite in place. That unstoppable force clearly is stoppable, and now with the taunt kill from Yule, that's a 25 damage pop, finding that last hit onto the Galio. Well played, Frez. Damn, that's a highlight.
Yeah, what good timing now, and I'm sure he's so happy about that. Lozzy looking for a little bit of an engage down here in the bot lane, and getting the trade off while this wave is pushing out. Since both supports are gone, he's looking to go all in, he's ulting, and he flashes in under the turret, gets the rampage, killing Pleb Links 1v1, looking to try and get into Miansfo. Miansfo coming over, ulting over. It's a 3v2. Lozzy just barely not being able to heal enough off of his ultimate to try and get another kill. Miansfo flashing over the wall. Gets engaged.
Really nice start from Lozzy, but a bit of an overextension. After getting that kill, would have been wise to just take that dash and reset through the tower. Unfortunately, going through a greedy path into the enemy's blue side jungle does get punished for this, but Frick now, with an excellent Herald response here in the mid lane, that's going to represent a lot of gold now onto Yule on this Galio. And even though Galio is a tank, tanks like money too, and it's going to mean a lot of health for this Galio pick. We might see the Hextech Rocket Belt come out. There is also the opportunity for a Night Harvester Galio. It seems odd, but it's actually a very strong pickup because it gives you so much movement speed in team fights so you can reposition to lock down the taunt that you're trying to hit. So lots of options for Yule here on this reset. We'll have to see what he ends up electing to take, but big choice here for Yule.
Yeah, Galios recently have been doing a lot more damage base, and Frez looking to get a small trade off in the top lane while everyone is posturing down the bot. Yule looking to follow down with the roam, not having his ult up, but possibly snuffing out if there might be a dive. Sees Loyal and goes back to mid. We're looking at Frez just trading with Jayoya constantly with that Malphite shield. It's a little hard, but he goes all in. Screw the shield, he's going for it. He's getting his Conqueror proc, trying to take this really long trade into Meteor Malphite. While Yule is fighting in the mid lane with the channel. That's a really nice E by Loyal to go all in, getting the Conqueror proc, and then walking it. So we're looking at bot lane here, and now we're back to top lane naturally. So we're just shoving out this top wave to look to get some vision or to reset. Frez probably looking for his Trinity Force at this point, trying to just get on map with as much damage as possible.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I did have experienced a small, minor technical difficulty there, but I am back. Thank you, Curtis, for carrying that portion of the cast there. Obviously, non-stop fighting in this game here. The Dark Binding does land onto Miansfo in the bottom lane. Lozzy in the team fight now does get caught out by the Hector Mulch. He's going to have to kite back here. Strick getting rooted. There's the Unstoppable Force, but a nice ultimate from the Volibear to avoid that. Lozzy looking for the ultimate here. He's going to land the full duration onto Cyber. There's the kill for Yule. The dash reset is now available here. Frez taking the Camille ult to his own face from the steal from Silas. Lozzy is still relatively healthy. Might look for some resets here. Goes in with the ultimate. This is massive for Samira. Nice kill there. There's the double kill now onto Yule. Looking in for an extended trade onto the Morgana. Morgana is low. They are going to push bot lane off of this. Lozzy, well played. Great positioning from the St. Clair squad here. And both carries surviving this fight is huge for St. Clair. 5-0 Galio, 4-1 Samira. My God, these carries are unstoppable.
Yeah, Frez had a really nice TP there to shut down the Jhin ult to help keep Lozzy alive in the back by getting onto that Jhin with the E and just trying to lock him down. Unfortunately, he was turned on pretty hard, but now we're looking at a fight here. Yule going in, Morgana's shield stopping the taunt while he flashes out. Loyal with the TP in, going in on Lozzy. Trick being able to do that Dryden, and then we're looking to disengage. We're trying to run away. We got Morgana flash binding. That is a dead bear. Trick is down. We are trying to just get everyone out here as fast as possible. Mienzo with a really nice E to be able to get out of the pit. Will he be able to run away with the speed that the Cloud Soul gives? He hits the Q. and Loyal is able to pick that one up.
Oh man, Mansfeld with a very creative Zenith Blade over the wall, grabbing it on the edge, the very edge of the hitbox onto Loyal. Unfortunately, not enough to get him out of there. And for St. Clair, that Dragon take was very ambitious, to say the least. They had a great team fight that could have very easily just turned into a reset. They had Trick running from base, and the bot lane on the enemy side was very low. But instead, choosing to go for that Dragon, it's a high-risk, high-reward play, and even though they managed to secure the Dragon, they did end up spoon-feeding quite a bit of gold back into Western's pockets. Lozy going down there means the shutdown does go to the side of Western. So big gold swing there for Western here. Frez looking for an extended trade up in the top lane. Using the hook shot against the wall is going to put him in a very dangerous spot here. Jayoya does have the ultimate available. Might be looking, but there's Frez not able to snap the ultimate in time. I believe it is just coming up now. Frez with the hook shot into the W, able to find the escape there. Jayoya looking for an opportunity to Q onto Frez, but Frez is just out of range. Trick with the cleanup.
Just a little bit of hesitation on the ult there, but Jayoya gave him enough time to have his E up in time to get out. It was very well played by Frez to be able to do that, and Yule was actually roaming up as well. Yule looking to go after Loyal here, now that he's at half HP, pushing him off. Loyal taking the ult, looking to reset because he's under half. Now we look at Cyber getting the E off, getting the red buff, the E, and he ults to be able to secure the kill. It was just very close. He did not have confidence in his red buff to be able to take that one.
Take a look at the items now. We mentioned Divine Sunderer being relatively big in these matchups, especially with all of these tanks available. It's already completed on the Hecarim, and it's also completed now on the Camille. Here goes Lozy in, looking for an ultimate opportunity here. Commits the ultimate now with all this life steal, but unfortunately just getting stun locked by the bot lane here. Looking to do some damage to Jin, taking the turn onto Blaze Nova. Very nice play from Lozy. He's going to get the reset here. They're not going to be able to find a return to Loyal. Stealing that Galio ulti, returning fire now onto the bottom lane, but he comes just a tad too late. Mianspo's going to walk out of there alive. Lozy's still relatively healthy, and Yule is here to be a tank. Nothing else is going to happen to this bot lane. Great play from St. Clair.
Wow, that was really well played. I thought they were actually just doomed when then Mianspo really turned that around for them. Lozy looking to go for this extended trade, blocking the fourth auto attack by Pleb, saving him about 200 health. And now they're just looking to posture towards Rift Herald.
Certainly for St. Clair, taking this aggressive play in the bot lane means that there will be no priority on this Herald. This second Herald is going to go the way of Western, which is going to be a big pushing power for this team. Second Herald is typically not as valued by teams because you can't use it to get turret plate gold, so the gold value you get from it is less than the first Herald. However, it is still a great way of breaking down the base. And if Western is able to win a good team fight now with this Herald take, it could mean doom for St. Clair's towers. Duel using the taunt here to try to get himself out of the team fight, but unfortunately being blocked out by Loyal, running fairly low on health. Cyber is going to find this kill here. Mianspo shooting out the ultimate, but not able to find the kill. Frez diving into the backline onto Blaze Nova is going to find this kill now onto the Morgana. Does get that clean up there, making his way back up to the top lane to deal with this wave that Jayoya has built up against him. Club links as well in the bottom lane, taking a reset now as well, looking to rotate now onto this mid lane team fight. With that Eye of the Herald available, as we mentioned, Western is going to be putting their foot on the gas now. They need to take advantage of this Herald. They need to do some damage to these St. Clair towers, because right now, St. Clair hasn't dropped a thing.
Yeah, it's very well played. They're able to just keep all of their turrets alive right now. Frez looking to trade into Jayoya. He does have his mythic component into what Frez did last game, where he has a Bammies and a Bramble. I don't understand the Bramble as much, because there's not as much healing this top side, but it's good against Galio and Samira. Or not Galio, Volibear and Samira, my bad.
It is healing on the Camille's W as well, that is worth noting, and it is just a good, solid item. It's a strong, heavy AD comp. Galio is a fair bit of ability power damage in the early game, but late game is more of a tank threat, so lots of the damage on St. Clair's side is going to be damage AD focused. And now Blaze Nova and Club Links looking for a kill onto Yule. Very well played from Yule to sidestep both of those trading tools there. Actually baiting out the Malphite ulti. Well done from Frez to remove that unstoppable force from the ability pool here. Moving into these mid-game fights as we see Cyber walking down into the bot lane, looking to commit the Herald here. It's going to take a good rotation from St. Clair to respond to this. I don't believe they know that this is coming now. Nice little fight now onto Yule. Yule taking a big chunk of health damage here. Trick with the defensive positioning there. Now with Frez teleporting into the team, but gets rooted immediately. Not able to find the ultimate, just gets deleted. The Herald gets dropped now. It does slam into the tower here, but 50% HP. St. Clair should be able to prevent this in the next tower, but Western's going to do whatever they can to deliver the payload. This is not League of Legends anymore. This is Overwatch. We're taking that payload straight to the face. Trick goes down as well, and here comes Shelly with one more slam to the tower here. Is going to mean a tier 2 goes Western's way. They're going for more. It's still alive. This push is never ending. Now Loy on the side here, getting picked off by Loyal. Does manage to find his positioning now. Yule in position to protect him up in the front line here. Was looking for a taunt, but not able to find it. There is still no ultimate available for Malphite. Loy may be able to carry this team fight if he can survive without taking too much damage, but now on top of Malphite, with limited lifesteal available, is going to get picked off. Oh my gosh, St. Clair is just getting bodied in this fight.
As that he takes the breather, man. You just went off on that whole fight that just happened. I don't know for sure, but I believe the Herald was able to hit the 3rd turret as well. They did get the inhibitor turret, yes. Now they're trading over this red buff to pleb links. They're looking to just reset, get their gold on the map, and just try and really push out this game by snowballing their leads. We noticed that in Game 2, they were able to really close out the game very well by knowing their limits and being able to really accelerate off of those. So they're going to be looking to try and push out and win with these really good team fight ultimates. We're looking at a pretty interesting gold lead here. We have really heavy jungle difference in the gold draft. It is 6,000 to 8,900. That's about almost a whole legendary item, if not legendary item, for Hecarim. And the top lane is leaning towards Frez, but not by too much, about 700. Mid lane is about 500, leaning to Yule. Then ADCs is 400 gold difference going to pleb lanes. They're looking to push down this mid turret. The support gold does not matter as much. They get a nice
gold, huge, and it just means so much for the stage of this game. Because St. Clair had a huge lead, especially on Lozzie in that early game team fight, managing to pick up that second here. Now a little bit of a fight, Fred getting a little ambitious, diving in with the W slow, ulting over the Hecarim taunt, but it's not going to be enough now. Hecarim committing the ultimate, flashing into the backline. Yule with the double taunt, might be able to find the kill into public, but that Eclipse shield is just so much resistance. Lozzie goes down. St. Clair, not the fight you want to take, and now with their Western, with their eyes set on Baron, this might be the play that throws the game. Unfortunately for St. Clair, going 0-5 in that fight is just not what you need now when you're already so far behind the gold, so far behind the damage, and now even in turrets, this is just the worst possible situation for St. Clair.
Yeah, they forced that fight a little bit too hard. Lozzie was not quite in the right position, and Yule and Shred already used about 3 abilities to just gap close to catch up to Frez with that engage. So now they're going to be able to get that Baron, and as I was saying before, they're going to be looking to close this out.
Oh my gosh, this game. And you know what? I think the moral of the story is if you lose the early game, you win the late game. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're looking to apply some new League of Legends tips to your games. Int as hard as you can in the early game. It seems to be working for these teams. If you remember correctly, game number 1, St. Clair, they demolished that game. It was like 30-16 at the end. They fed Aphelios 2 kills. Game number 2, St. Clair gets like 2 kills at the beginning of the game. They lose in 20 minutes. Game 3, Lozzie's 4-0 at like 7 minutes, and now they're against a Baron, a 7k gold lead, and they have an open inhibitor. So, what can we? It's got to be lose early game. That's all I can say. Watch this.
I don't know. It seems like we were saying the whole time that it's win early game in preseason, and now we're kind of second guessing ourselves.
I think the moral of the story is don't listen to me. I don't know what I'm talking about. I just love League of Legends and I love watching you play.
Trust me, I know the knowledge.
Okay. All right. That was uncalled for. Oh, gee. Going into these mid right now, it is only 22 minutes, but the game is looking a little unbearable for St. Clair. It's 21-13, as we mentioned. Both teams are kind of moving around this mid lane team fight. We already see the tower getting taken away now for Western, that tier 1 tower, dropping Cyber, looking to make an aggressive play in the jungle, just scaring Trick away off of his wolf camp here. And as the team's posture to defend to this mid lane tower, St. Clair has to be very careful they don't overstep past the line of scrimmage. If you walk a step too far, you're going to get blown up by all this long-range CC that Western has available to them.
Yeah, Morgana binding especially. That is insane. They're just looking to get these mid-turrets and just open up the map so they can get these pits with their deep vision and just force them into an awkward spot. As we said, awkward spot. Yule is looking to go into 3v2 right now. 3v4, Loyal looking to go over the wall. That is Fleblings with the ult. That is Loyal with the ult and Yule with the ult. They're just shooting down the side of St. Clair. Just a really awkward fight to start in a 3v5.
Looks like it's never difficult to play, if I'm being honest. You're so far behind now, there's no sense in forcing that fight into the enemy team while they still have Baron available. It is likely going to be available for a little bit longer. Unfortunately, we're not an LCS broadcast. We don't have access to a Baron power play timer, but the Baron was only taken within the last minute and a half here, so they have about 30 seconds left on this Baron. Might be able to even go for Throne here on this push. We'll have to see how aggressive that Western is feeling. It is worth mentioning though that Jayoya did commit his ultimate in that last fight. He definitely didn't need to, but he went for the look anyways. And I think because of that, Western is going to make the smart decision and recall here, knowing that they don't have that Malphite ult available for this next team fight. They're going to wait on some cooldowns and go for the game-winning push in just a few moments.
Yeah, they're looking at this Wind Dragon to help their ultimate cooldowns in general, but now they're actually looking to just position around a bush. Mienzo's ult being stolen by Silas's Loyal. That does have an AP scaling that can hurt real bad. They're looking to, St. Clair is looking to just get a fight here now that they know that they don't have all of their gold on the map, they don't have all of their ultimates up, they're missing a lot of key components. Frez going in on top of Cyber, and then on the top side of this fight, Trick being engaged on both the junglers down. That is Jayoya's ult up, getting 4 people with that ultimate, and then just really putting his team in a good spot. Flebling's looking to walk in, Mienzo getting shot by the 4-shot by Jin, getting taken down, Frez getting turned on by 2 people, and it is an ace for Western. They're going to be looking to go through mid lane here. They only have 17 seconds though. I don't know if they can take it in time before Trick is up on this volley bear.
Going to be the bot inhibitor is the call for Western, but actually the teleport from Jayoya, he reset and now he's looking for Throne. Western is going to take this bot inhibitor while Jayoya slaps away at those Nexus towers. That was an incredible Malphite ult. He definitely carried the team fight. I think if Roy had lived that, there might have been an opportunity for that fight to go extend a little bit longer, but unfortunately, once that Samira goes down, your team really does not have a whole lot of damage. And unfortunately for Wazi, even after having such a great early game start, he's only got 1 item completed. He's not even finished the Bloodthirster yet. Once that item comes up, it may make a little bit of a difference in these team fights, but he's going up against a nearly 3-item Jin while only having an item to his own name.
Yeah, I believe he, after this mid-game hit, it went really bad for Lazi because he was about 5-1 and now it's about 5-6. We're positioning around Dragon here. We might see another forced fight potentially, but I believe that it's just going to be going over to Western and then they're going to be looking to defend their base.
Bad spot like St. Clair is here. You have to pick your fights correctly. And contesting a second dragon, especially in a Wind Soul, it's just not the fight you want. You give that away for free. You look to farm up your items. You look to hit your power spikes and see maybe once these inhibitors respawn, if you can find it within yourselves to pull a team fight out from nowhere. But right now, with a 11k gold lead for University of Western, that is a scary Jin. Oh my gosh.
Very scary, Carrie.
Scary. I realize University of Western is probably not the best way to say that. It's a little goofy when I say it in my head. Sounds like a really fun school though, University of Western. What? Oh boy.
Oh, it's okay. We've been talking a lot. It's been
29-15 now in this mid game here. Lazi does have the Bloodthirster completed. That is a big power spike for the Samira, as we mentioned. It makes that ultimate feel so much better when you can just randomly heal the full from nothing in the middle of a team fight. But Western is just happy to live in St. Clair's jungle right now, farming up the blue buff, stealing away the Grompa. They're doing everything they can to choke St. Clair's ability to access farm here. Now St. Clair postured over the wall here, looking for maybe a cheeky engage here using the Escu. There's the ultimate, does force out the Jin flash and the Dark Binding, so a little bit of a miscommunication there from Western. Jin not having his flash available might mean be the team fight difference here if St. Clair is able to find their way on top of him. With that Camille hookshot, they might have the ability to get on top of Jin, but it's going to be very tricky to get through this front line. This Malphite is a monster right now.
Yeah, it seemed like Western was just delaying until Baron showed up so they can take it and bring their 2 inhib waves into the base. They're possibly posturing to just dive mid right now since they know they have a lead. They're looking for the death bush in this back wall right now. We have Loyal in the front, just baiting them in. Oh, he gets stunned. Cyber getting stunned at the front of this fight. Hit Trick going in with the ultimate. That's Frez's TP in. They're on top of Blaze Nova. Oh my god. J-Yo-Yo's ultimate again hitting 4 people. Yule getting really nice fight into an ult. Lazy surviving, getting an ult off, being able to really put onto this backline. Frez looking here. Pleblane's still alive. He is a big damage threat on their team. Pleblane's getting destroyed. Yule flashing out, staying alive, getting hit by the Silas Q. Unfortunately, it is 1 for 4. Oh, there's only 1 person left on both teams. Loyal was able to really take out 3 members. Possibly looking for Trick here. Trick getting engaged back on Loyal with a lot of healing, trying to run him down. That is the ace. He's going to be looking to push this bot wave in to possibly win the game, but he does only have 13 seconds.
That was the way that started. St. Clair was looking so great, and unfortunately for Lozzy, he overstepped just a little bit and took a 4th shot from Jin to the face. It was enough to execute him. Had he survived that initial engage, Lozzy was doing so much damage. He ulted, I think, 3 times that team fight.
That was crazy by Lozzy for sure. It's just, it took 1 bad turn, and unfortunately they weren't able to get the Baron off of it. So now we'll be looking at another team fight before this game is done.
Man, you told me to get hyped for this game, but you didn't tell me it was going to be this crazy, man. I don't know if I have enough hype for this. this is just requesting too much hype, this game. Oh my god. As we set up for Baron here, the Scuttlecrab is available on the top side. Definitely going to be Cyber's point of contention here, looking to clean that up and get some extra vision for his team before they move on to the Baron. But looking at these items now, Bozzy is moving towards his 3rd item. We almost have the death cap completed for Yule, rather. Very aggressive Galio build for sure, building into that Rabadon's death cap here. These items are going to make a big difference in the way that these team fights play out. League of Legends, of course, if getting kills is great, but getting gold is even more important. And if your kills aren't getting you gold, it's not worth it. So looking at not only the kill scores, but the farm scores are very impressive as well. 230 CS now on Pleblinks, the Jin, this carry, having 4 items completed, nearly completed his 5th and final item, means that this fight is going to be absolutely devastating for whoever comes out on top.
I'm actually very surprised that Western did not force this Baron earlier with the inhibitors down. So now they're looking at 2 inhibitors up, so St. Clair can actually contest this. But Western is just backing off. They see them step in a little bit, and they're looking to go on Lozzy. Lozzy getting all in on by the entire team. They know that he's just that good of a damage threat, and he is gone. Mianspo following through and being right after. Frez is looking for a flank, but he's just in a bat. And it's looking like this is going to be game off of that play.
Unfortunately for St. Clair, once your hard carry goes down, there's not a whole lot you can do. Weston's just going to walk into the base and take everything for themselves. There's the Volibear ultimate, disabling both towers. Well done from Loyal. The amount of damage that ultimate did to those towers is just incredible. Really nice tech there on the Silas here. And Western University is going to end up cleaning up this series 2-1. Very well played from both teams, but Western University just had that extra edge, 37-20 in game number 3. What a game of League of Legends.
Yeah, that game was just intense, to say the least. That was really well played by Western in the end to just bait them into the Baron and then just turn on them. It was really nicely done by Loyal to look for that flank off of the Raptors bush that he was standing in for about 30 seconds. Wow, that was just well played.
It looked so good for St. Clair, and then, oh my gosh, just 1 or 2 bad fights and it flipped on its head. And I mean, that's just really the beauty of competitive games, is that in solo queue, it's very hard to find a flip like that because your team gets so demoralized so quickly that as soon as the team gets a lead, it kind of just feels like the game is unwinnable. But for Western here to hold themselves even into this 5-0 Samira or 5-1, whatever it was, like a very fed carry on the side of St. Clair, holding their ground and ending up flipping the game on its head. Jin finished the game 12-3. He started off like 0-2 or 0-3, and now he's 12-3. Just an incredible play from these teams here in this.
Yeah, it was really good team communication for sure. They played very well. I'm very impressed with both teams here. St. Clair with game 1 was very, very nice. And then Western being able to respond with game 2 and 3. They just played very well as well. It was just really good team communication, knowing your limits, knowing how to just work in a team environment for sure. Western is definitely a very good team. And I'm really proud of St. Clair for being able to get that 1 game off of them.
Like a St. Clair, we always say, a loss is a learning moment, but a win is a moment to be proud of. And even if it's not a match win, taking game 1 off of a team as good and as honored as Western University is definitely feels good for morale here. Obviously, losing games is never a fun experience, but when you get to walk out of this saying, hey, we took a game off of Western, that's a victory. Very proud of the way the Saints Gaming squad played tonight, and looking forward to some excellent performances from them for the rest of the season. And speaking of future performances, let's take a look at the Saints Gaming schedule calendar, see what's coming up next here on the Twitch channel, what teams have games lined up for the rest of the week. On November 29th, Sunday at 7 p.m., we have Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War in the TESPA League. That was, you know what? That was on November 29th. That was 3 days ago. I am losing my mind a little bit. Let's jump forward now to December the 4th, Friday at 8 p.m., Rainbow Six Siege in the Siege League. Then on December the 5th, Saturday, is going to be Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War in TESPA, followed by another Black Ops game on Sunday. You know what? I think I was just hyped for League of Legends. I wanted to see December 2nd's game yet again. I would rewatch this game over and over. That was an incredible match that we got to see tonight. And some great games lined up for the rest of the week in both Rainbow Six Siege and Call of Duty Black Ops. So if you are a fan of those shooter titles, make sure to tune into the Saints Gaming channel at Saints Gaming CA and see those games live. If you're looking to get more information on when matches are coming up, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at the same link, Saints Gaming CA, to keep up with what is going on here on the Twitch channel. And as always, thank you so much for everyone for watching the game tonight and for watching all the games that Saints Gaming offers on this channel here. We couldn't do it without you, our viewers, and we also couldn't do it without our sponsors. Once again, St. Clair Alumni Association, PC Outlet, Zuckerman School of Business and IT, St. Clair College, Tim Hortons, and the St. Clair SRC. Thank you to everyone who supports the channel, because otherwise we wouldn't have the opportunities to do what we are doing tonight, and we love doing it. I know I had a great time. Curtis, final thoughts on tonight's events. What did you think of it all? What do you make of it all?
Oh man, those games were intense. I'm actually just exhausted. My throat is just killing me. Like, we just talked constantly. So much fighting was going on. It was just really well played. I had a lot of pop-off moments for these players. I was just very impressed.
Nice performance from some players, especially players that typically don't get to have those moments. Like, we saw Frez just play out of his mind on Malphite in Game 1, and having that really sweet Camille ulti too in this Game 3. Definitely a nice clip moment as well. Some really good mechanical performances from everyone. Great game all around. So thank you once again for tuning into the channel. We hope to see you next time. We'll see you Saturday for some more Call of Duty. Thank you again, and have a good